What's up, dummies? Today we're about to react to 10 banned candies that can actually kill you, bro. This video is gonna be insane. We're gonna see a bunch of different candies that ended up getting banned because they were too dangerous for kids to eat. This is insane. Try not to get scared. Hopefully, we never buy this candy stuff. Let's go.
Candies that can kill. Number 10.
Number 10.
Hippie Sippy.
Huh?
The 60s were a more experimental time.
Okay, just by looking at this does not look creepy, bro. Dude, there's nothing like dangerous about this, but let's see what he has to say.
For how a product like Hippie Sippy ever made it onto shelves.
Okay, what is this?
The sweet treat consisted of multicolored chocolate balls that were contained within a vial. And to get to them,
so chocolate balls, that already sounds weird, but let's see what else.
you had to suck through the needle.
Okay, you have to... no wonder it was banned.
Similarities to drug use weren't accidental, but were in fact the whole point of this candy.
Wait, what?
It was designed to replicate hippie drug culture, with the needle and syringe being associated with heroin use, and the colored balls representing uppers and downers. To make things even worse, each Hippie Sippy came with a button that had slogans such as, "Hippie Sippy says I'll try anything," and "We sell happiness." Needless to say, sense prevailed and the products were pulled from the shelves less than a year after
Okay, so
being
this thing
released.
got banned because it was basically like, it was very similar to like drugs and stuff. Like the whole, okay, that's
Making
weird.
drug use
Let's see the
feel
next one.
fun.
All right, what's
Number
number 9?
Kinder Eggs and Wonder Balls.
Wait, what? These got banned?
The only way chocolate could be made any better for kids is if it includes a plastic toy to play with once all the sugary goodness is gone.
I gotta figure out how this was banned because I'm pretty sure I bought one of these before, maybe like 5 years ago. Why would they ban these like chicken eggs? Or what? Chicken? Am I stupid? Why would they ban these chocolate eggs?
And that's exactly what Kinder Eggs and Wonder Balls tried to offer. The Kinder version is available around the world, and each one contains a plastic egg that contains a collectible toy.
So it's chocolate, but inside there's a little toy. So maybe they banned it because kids were like, "Oh, chocolate," and ate the whole thing with the plastic. I can't breathe.
But for a long time, they've been banned in the US.
Wow.
It's all because of a law that was introduced in the 1930s that strictly prohibited non-nutritive objects from being embedded within any type of food.
Okay, basically, so he just said you can't put something that's not edible inside of food. So it's like if you had like a chicken breast, right? It's like a big piece of chicken. You can't just stuff like a hammer in there and sell it, you know what I mean? Because if people eat the chicken, they're like, ow, you know?
The concern was that some people wouldn't be aware there's something in the treat that can't be eaten, and it would therefore pose a serious choking hazard.
Right,
While this
makes
may
sense.
seem like overzealous lawmaking, the concerns aren't completely unfounded. In 2016, a 3-year-old girl in France died after choking on a toy in a Kinder Egg. And there have been a number of instances elsewhere where injuries have happened because of swallowing the plastic figure.
Yeah, now that I think about it, that's not smart, bro. If you're catering these toys and stuff to kids are dumb, bro. Kids put stuff in their mouth, like they could easily choke. So that is a dumb candy idea. They made millions and millions of dollars though.
Despite repeated attempts to finally bring the candies to the US, it looks as if the ban is here to stay.
All right, what's number 8?
Number 8, Toxic Waste Chew Bar.
What?
Toxic waste candy has become popular recently because of its extreme sourness.
I've had this before, I think, bro. That toxic waste, oh, my mouth is just, I can feel it, bro. If you've ever had this toxic waste stuff, you would know. You can feel it right now. It's like, it's so sour.
But there was one product in the range, the Toxic Waste Nuclear Sludge Chew Bar, that was banned in 2011.
Wow.
It had been originally launched in 2007, but there were serious concerns about the ingredients that were used to make the candy. Not, as you might suspect, in regards to how they made it so sour, but more as a result of where and how they were produced. The company's factory was in Pakistan, and following tests, the FDA revealed that they had detected significant levels of lead within the chew bars.
They put lead in the chew bar? Bro, lead is like supposed to be like for a pencil, bro.
Be potentially harmful to small children, infants, and pregnant women. Regulations require lead levels to be below 0.1 parts per million, and the bars were found to have at least 3 times this limit. Candy Dynamics, the company that sells the toxic waste range of candies, complied with the recall. The bars were removed from stores, and instead of reworking the recipe, they gave up on that particular candy for good.
Wow, so that bar was banned. The toxic waste chew bar was completely banned because it had lead in it. Look at these people. They're panicking, bro. I can only, bro, I know how.
Before we move on, be sure to number 7.
Shut the hell up.
Roadkill Gummy Candy.
Okay, roadkill candy? What?
There are countless different versions of gummy candy available in stores. And in 2004, Kraft thought they had come up with an idea that would help them stand out among the rest. Roadkill-themed gummy candies.
Okay, why would this be banned? It's just like roadkill, like dead animal. Okay, I guess that's kind of weird.
Each one was in the shape of chickens, squirrels, and snakes with tire tracks on them.
Yeah, that's
But what was
kind of
intended
weird.
to be a tongue-in-cheek joke soon began to cause problems. They ended production of the treats the following year after a series of campaigns by animal rights activists who claimed they trivialized the idea of injuring animals.
What? Okay, I know I said it was weird, but it's not that serious. You don't have to do a whole parade saying, "Oh, animals matter, animals matter." Bro, what? It's candy. It's just like, what? I mean, they have like, okay, that's just stupid.
Fears that the product sent a message to children that it was okay to harm animals, Kraft was forced to relent and rethink their strategy.
Bro, they think that this product tells kids that it's okay to harm animals. No, they're just eating. The kids don't even. Every time I eat a gummy candy, I don't look at the candy. I just eat it. Come on, bro. All right, let's see what else happened. Let's go.
Number 6, Lucas Mexican Candy.
What?
Candy from South America is one of the most in-demand products around the world.
Okay.
A company called Lucas began targeting their products at children, and it was
Lucas.
controversial from the beginning. Known as Lucas Mexican Candy, the powdered candy was sold in a shaker container that children would use to shake it into their mouths.
That's disgusting.
Others were seen shaking the powder onto a table, arranging it into a line, and then sniffing it, which immediately worried people about the similarity with drug use. Lucas claimed that this was the result of using the product wrong and that it was designed to be lightly sprinkled on fruit to make it taste better. But they should have known that kids would find a less healthy way of consuming it. The company's undoing in the end wasn't because they were teaching children how to partake in adult candy though, but because of what their products contained. Tests showed that it had more than twice the allowed levels of lead and was so immediately banned by regulators.
Bro, this candy had a bunch of lead in it too. Why are we putting lead in this candy, bro?
Number 5.
All right, number 5.
Haribo sugar-free gummy bears.
What? Haribo gummy bears? I had
Haribo
those.
is one of the world's most popular candy brands, but despite making plenty of products that kids and grown-ups love, they haven't always gotten things right. In 2014, their sugar-free gummy bears gained attention because of some rather unfortunate side effects that were experienced by people who ate them in large quantities. The reason for this was the replacement of the sugar used in normal recipes with lycopene, a substance that's almost as sweet as sugar, but contains half the calories. Its main ingredient is maltitol, which is a sugar alcohol. But our bodies can't fully digest it, and if it's present in high enough quantities, it can start to ferment in the stomach.
What?
Because of this, the Amazon reviews were rather detailed, with some
Diarrhea while driving. Oh, I bought a bag of gummy bears to work, and then I had diarrhea while
calling
driving.
it napalm and saying that it caused intestinal distress, and reminiscent of trumpets calling demons back to hell.
I have been sitting on my toilet for 5 hours in excruciating pain. 10 out of 10 would purchase again. 5 stars. It tastes amazing, but my butt hurts like none other coming out. Perfect for coworkers or friends.
Number 4, exploding gum.
Huh?
Candy companies are always coming up with new varieties of tried and tested favorites.
Dude, that looks so good. I don't know why that looks so good. I like gum. Oh my God. It reminds me,
Such
bro.
a
I need
thing
to
is
chew some
going
gum.
too far. A Ukrainian chemistry student learned this to his cost in 2009 after supercharging his bubble gum with tragic results. He liked to increase the sour taste of his favorite brand, so he would often dip it into citric acid before chewing.
What?
On this occasion, however, he used the wrong powder and instead dipped it in explosives. All it took was one chew and his gum exploded his jaw,
What?
and most of the lower part of his face were blown clean off, and he died soon after.
And on his eyeball.
Needless to say, this particular recipe for gum won't be making its way onto shelves anytime soon.
That dude's crazy.
Number 3, free candy.
What?
You might think that the best kind of candy is free candy, but in Madrid, Spain, the traditions of giving any sweet treats for free has actually been banned.
Really?
On the 5th of January each year, towns across the country hold a Christmas parade called Cabalgata de Reyes, which sees 3 wise men greeting children before handing out gifts. The men are taken through the streets to a church in a carriage, and part of the tradition involves throwing candy from the carriage into the crowds. It has, however, led to a number of injuries as children scrambled to collect what they can. And in 2013, a 6-year-old boy in Malaga was killed when he went into the street to collect some candy and was hit by the carriage.
Bro, candy is not that good for you to have to run out in the street and get hit by a
Rules
car.
are now in place to prevent such a tragedy from ever happening again, and children in the region will have to resort to getting their candy the same way as the rest of us, by pestering their parents until they relent.
Wow. All right, number 2, let's see.
Number 2, lollipipe.
Huh?
Even though lollipipes were never intended to be sold to children, their availability in a wide range of flavors meant that it was inevitable that kids would get their hands on them, and this posed a real problem. Made from candy, these pipes were designed for smoking certain substances through, and one of their marketing claims was that they were flame-proof, so could be used time and time again. They became really popular with smokers, but they were believed to encourage children to try out what they were designed for, and this resulted in a significant increase in drug use by underage people.
That's so
The pipe was
stupid.
banned from sale in
Why
every
would somebody even make that? That's stupid. Why would you want a okay? you know
Number
what?
1, candy cigarettes.
Candy cigarettes. Oh my
Candy
God.
cigarettes first began to be sold in the late 1800s and were made from
disgusting.
sugar, gum, or chocolate that was wrapped in a paper in a pack that resembled a box of cigarettes. Some varieties even included powdered sugar that you could blow through the candy stick to simulate smoke.
Wow.
They began to be seen as a way to desensitize children to the idea of smoking, however. And for a time, cigarette manufacturers even helped with the production of the candy and
That's
allowed their
crazy,
branding to
bro.
be used on packets. As medical organizations began to become more aware of the dangers of smoking, these collaborations became less common, and the products have
Yeah.
now been banned in
See,
virtually
this is the
every
one I agree
country
with.
around the world, apart
Ban
from
the
the US
candy
and
cigarettes.
Canada. Studies have shown that a surprising percentage of smokers had candy cigarettes when they were younger compared to people
Wow.
who don't smoke, so the link between the two has been proved to be significant. What's
Yeah, y'all gotta ban these candy cigarettes. Cigarettes are gross for you, and they're disgusting, and they're dumb. They're a stupid idea. If you ever smoke cigarettes, you're just dumb and you're lazy and you can't get over your addiction. You're lame. I don't even care. Get over cigarettes, bro. Stop smoking cigarettes. That stuff is disgusting. It's killing you every single day. It's killing everybody. The fact that we gave candy cigarettes to our kids is crazy. I actually tried some of these as a kid. It's like bubble gum. Or the one I had it tasted like sugary chalk. Like you would like bite down on.
seems like an innocent children's treat is probably
not innocent.
responsible for the most deaths of any candy ever, and it's
Yeah.
no surprise that very few places now allow them to be sold.
That's literally candy cigarette, bro. It's like chocolate inside of the. That's stupid. What's up, dummies? Today we're about to react to the worst deaths caused by food. Look at this thumbnail, bro. Somebody died by eating like 5,000 cheeseburgers. Jesus Christ, he's fat as hell. I knew that you could die from McDonald's. Trust me. McDonald's is disgusting, bro. If you eat McDonald's, you're gonna die in 5 years. But we're about to look at the craziest deaths that have happened to people just from food, bro. Let's see what they were eating. Let's try not to die. Don't eat these foods. Let's go.
Invisible Sesame. On July 17th, 2016, 15-year-old Natasha Ednan Laprousse arrived at Heathrow Airport.
That's a
with her
weird
father.
ass name. Hold on. You guys always tell me, stop pausing the video, but I don't give a damn. Natasha Edanana Alaparose? Jeez, what's wrong with your parents, bro? All right, let's watch this.
Ednan Laprousse
I'm not going to
arrived
pause the
at
video.
Heathrow Airport
Promise.
with her father and friend for a dream vacation to Nice, France. Before
Ooh, they're
boarding,
going
she
to
stopped at a
France?
Pret-a-Manger
Wait,
with
hold on.
father and friend for a dream vacation to Nice, France.
They were going on vacation to a place called Nice, France? This town's called Nice? That's fire, dude. What the hell? Imagine all the people there, bro. They gotta be nice people, bro.
Before boarding, she stopped at a Pret-a-Manger cafe in Terminal 5 and purchased an artichoke, olive, and tapenade baguette.
Okay, that's her first. Yeah, dude, if I saw an artichoke, olive, and tapenade baguette, I think I would die too. What the hell are you buying that for, bro? I bet that thing costs like $15 too, because the airport, bro, they'd be charging stuff like crazy. All right, let's see what happens. I need to stop pausing the video. I promise, okay?
Natasha had severe food allergies since childhood, particularly to sesame seeds. She checked the label carefully, as she had been taught to do all her life. No allergens were listed. As British Airways flight BA342 took off, Natasha bit into her sandwich. Unknown to her, sesame seeds had been baked directly into the dough. They were invisible, unlisted, and lethal. Within minutes, red hives appeared on her her neck and midriff. Natasha took 2 Puritan allergy tablets, hoping to stop the reaction. It wasn't enough. The symptoms escalated rapidly. Her father, Nadim, administered her EpiPen, injecting adrenaline into her thigh. The small cabin of the airplane became a desperate medical scene. Natasha's throat was closing. Each breath became more difficult than the last. At 35,000 feet, there was no way to land quickly. No hospital was within reach. A second EpiPen was used. It had little effect.
Bro, I'm not gonna lie, bro. That's crazy. If you're allergic to something and you're on the plane and then like you get allergic or however it works or whatever, you start getting infected by it or whatever, they can't even like land. They might as well throw you out just give you a parachute. Tell you, okay, the hospital's 3 miles this way. Throw that motherfucker out the plane. They're gonna die either way. You might as well throw her out and hopefully she lands on a hospital, right? Right? I think I just started something. All right, I'm not pausing the video anymore. And if I pause the video again, you can all unsubscribe, all right? I promise I won't.
Oxygen levels plummeted as her airways swelled shut. The cabin crew called for any doctors on board. A physician responded, but had limited medical supplies. Natasha lost consciousness as her body was starved of oxygen. Wow. The pilot issued an emergency alert requesting priority landing in Nice. For 40 minutes, Natasha's father performed CPR in the airplane aisle as other passengers watched in horror. When the plane finally landed, French paramedics rushed aboard. They continued resuscitation attempts, but Natasha's brain had been without oxygen too long. At a hospital in Nice, doctors pronounced Natasha Ednan-Laperouse dead. The cause, anaphylactic shock from undeclared sesame. Her death sparked outrage across the UK, revealing that food regulations allowed allergens to go unlisted if ingredients were added during the production process.
Wow.
In 2021, Natasha's law was enacted, requiring full ingredient labeling on all prepackaged foods in the United Kingdom.
They made a law for this girl because that's actually that's actually fire, not messed up. But they actually made it so you have to show every single ingredient. That's actually fire. All right.
Murder over coffee.
Shout out to her.
On January 6, 2016, a 27-year-old Indonesian woman, Wayan Mirna Salian, met her friends at Olivier Cafe in Grand Indonesia Shopping Mall in Jakarta. Myrna, a newlywed who had recently returned from a honeymoon, was looking forward to catching up with college friends Jessica Kumala Wongso and Hani. Jessica arrived first and ordered a Vietnamese iced coffee for Myrna before the others reached the cafe. When Myrna arrived, the coffee was waiting. Security cameras captured the moment as she took her first sip. Immediately, Myrna commented on the bitter taste. Within seconds, her body stiffened. She began to convulse violently, foam spilling from her mouth. Her eyes rolled back as she slumped in her chair.
Bro, I mean, coffee is gross, but it's not that bad. What are you...
Staff rushed over as Myrna fell to the floor, her body now racked with seizures. Bystanders attempted to help as Hani screamed for someone to call an ambulance.
Someone call an ambulance!
Later recalled Jessica remaining oddly calm while chaos unfolded around her. Cyanide works with brutal efficiency in the human body. It blocks cells from using oxygen, essentially suffocating every organ simultaneously. The brain, which requires constant oxygen, shuts down first. Death can occur within minutes. Paramedics arrived and found Myrna unresponsive, her pulse weak and irregular. They rushed her to Abdi Walio Hospital, where doctors fought to save her, but the poison had already caused irreversible damage. At 4:45 p.m., just under an hour after that first sip, Wayan Mirna Salihan was pronounced dead. Police analysis found 298 milligrams of cyanide in the coffee, enough to kill several adults. Investigators discovered Jessica had harbored a grudge against Myrna for criticizing her previous relationship.
So her friend killed her other friend. So this girl right here, this bald head ass girl, killed the girl because this girl right here was saying, oh, I didn't like your ex-boyfriend.
Yep. CCTV footage showed Jessica placing 3 shopping bags to block the cafe's security camera view of the table where Myrna's coffee waited. In October 2016, after a televised trial that captivated Indonesia, Jessica Kumala Wongso was convicted of premeditated murder and sentenced to 20 years in prison.
Oh!
Birthday dinner that ended in silence.
All right, here we go.
On September 13th, 2021, Chris Russ celebrated his 57th birthday at an upscale steakhouse in Atlanta, Georgia. He was surrounded by friends and family, enjoying the evening he had looked forward to for weeks.
God, this is such a happy story. He's hanging out with his family on his birthday, eating a nice steakhouse, but this video is about deaths. Oh no, recipe.
Chris ordered his favorite, a thick-cut bison steak, rare. The restaurant was known for its generous portions and quality meat. The meal was going well, conversation flowed, glasses clinked in toast to another year of life. Then, mid-sentence, Chris stopped talking. His hand moved to his throat, the universal sign of choking. At first, those around him thought he might be coughing. Seconds later, his face began to turn red. A friend at the table realized what was happening and asked, "Are you choking?" Chris couldn't speak. He couldn't breathe.
Bro, that's so stupid. Like, you're eating food and then you see a guy going, and then you're like, are you choking? You're dumb! Oh my god. Okay, I'm not pausing the video anymore. I promise. We're gonna let it play. I promise.
A bison steak, roughly the size of a golf ball, had become lodged in his windpipe, creating a complete blockage. One of his dinner companions immediately attempted the Heimlich maneuver. The abdominal thrust failed to dislodge the meat. Chris's face changed from red to purple as oxygen deprivation set in. A restaurant staff member trained in first aid tried next, also without success. Within 4 minutes without oxygen, brain cells begin to die. By the time paramedics arrived 6 minutes after the first signs of distress, Chris had collapsed and lost consciousness. They used specialized equipment to extract the meat, but the blockage had been in place too long. Chris was rushed to Grady Memorial Hospital in critical condition. Scans revealed severe hypoxic brain injury, damage caused by lack of oxygen. For 3 days, he remained on life support while his family maintained vigil. The birthday celebration that should have marked another year of life instead marked its end. On September 16th, doctors confirmed Chris Russ had no meaningful brain activity. His family made the painful decision to remove life support. What began as a simple bite of food had ended a life in less than a week. The medical examiner listed the cause of death as complications of asphyxia due to choking on food.
See, this is why you guys gotta chew your food, bro. Like, man, recently I've been chewing the hell out of my food because not only because like it's good for you, but also, or not only because it prevents choking, but also like the more you chew your food, the better it is to digest. If you have like big chunks in your stomach, it's harder for it to digest. Your body has to work harder to digest it. You use up more energy. But if you chew your food until it's like liquid, it's really good for you.
Jelly that killed.
What? Okay, hold on. We're about to hear about how Jell-O killed someone. Dude, this video's crazy, bro. This is gonna be entertaining.
That killed. On November 10th, 2018, 67-year-old Edward Eddie Casson was admitted to Royal Bolton Hospital in England. He had a complex medical history including dysphagia, difficulty swallowing, and had previously suffered a stroke that further compromised his ability to safely consume certain foods. His medical notes clearly specified that he required a carefully textured diet and that jelly, a seemingly innocent dessert, posed a particular danger to him. 3 days after admission, a healthcare assistant served Eddie raspberry jelly for dessert. His medical chart, with its clear warnings about swallowing risks, had been overlooked. The jelly's unique texture, solid enough to hold shape but melting to liquid, made it especially dangerous for someone with Eddie's condition. Minutes after consuming the jelly, Eddie began to choke. The gelatinous substance slipped past his airway protection reflexes and entered his lungs, a process called aspiration. Unlike choking, which causes immediate symptoms, aspiration can initially seem less severe while setting a deadly process in motion. By the next morning, Eddie developed a fever of 38.5 degrees Celsius. His breathing became labored, with an elevated respiratory rate of 26 breaths per minute. X-rays revealed the beginnings of aspiration pneumonia, an infection caused when food particles introduce bacteria into the lungs. Despite being started on intravenous antibiotics, Eddie's condition deteriorated rapidly. Aspiration pneumonia is particularly dangerous because the foreign material creates an ideal breeding ground for bacteria. The body's immune response triggers inflammation.
I didn't know that you could eat food and it'll go in your lung. You gotta learn. Okay, y'all gotta learn to chew, bro. This
fluid, making oxygen exchange increasingly difficult.
That's what I'm learning.
Within 48 hours, Eddie required supplemental oxygen as his blood oxygen levels dropped to 88%, well below the normal range of 95–100%. On November 15th, 5 days after the jelly was served, Eddie Casson suffered respiratory failure. His lungs could no longer deliver sufficient oxygen to his organs.
Bro, that says, sorry guys, that's all I got.
At 3:47 p.m., he was pronounced dead. A subsequent coroner's inquest ruled that his death was contributed to by neglect, finding that hospital staff had failed to follow clearly documented dietary restrictions. A spoonful of jelly, meant to provide comfort, had instead delivered a death sentence. The lung that mushroom ate. On May 11th, 2020, in rural South Korea, a previously healthy elderly man collected wild mushrooms from the mountainside near his home. The retired farmer often gathered seasonal vegetables and fungi to supplement his meals. That evening, he boiled the mushrooms and consumed them for dinner, unaware he had made a fatal identification error. 6 hours after his meal, the first symptoms appeared. Violent vomiting began suddenly, followed by profuse diarrhea. The man initially dismissed it as simple food poisoning that would pass. By morning, the gastrointestinal symptoms had become severe enough that his son drove him to a local hospital. Initial blood tests showed elevated liver enzymes, with ALT and AST levels over 5 times normal limits, indicating acute liver injury. Doctors suspected mushroom poisoning and began supportive treatments. What happened next baffled the medical team. Within 48 hours, the patient developed a persistent cough and increasing shortness of breath. A chest CT scan revealed something horrifying. The man's left lung showed extensive consolidation. Areas where the normally air-filled spaces had become filled with fluid. By the fourth day, the lung tissue had begun to necrotize, literally die and decompose inside his body.
What?
The toxin was destroying his lung cell by cell. The patient was transferred to a
happened?
specialized toxicology unit in Seoul. By day 6, his oxygen levels had dropped so critically that he required intubation and mechanical ventilation. The left
Bro,
lung
can't they
continued
just like take out the mushroom?
to deteriorate despite aggressive treatment. Tissue samples confirmed the presence of Podostroma cornudermi toxin,
Huh? Podostroma so...
one of the deadliest mushrooms in Asia. On day 9, surgeons performed an emergency pneumonectomy, complete removal of the left lung, as a desperate measure to prevent the spread of necrosis. The extracted lung was blackened, liquefied in areas, and barely recognizable as human tissue. The operation came too late. Multiple organ systems had already absorbed the toxin. The patient's remaining lung, liver, and kidneys began to fail simultaneously. Despite continuous dialysis and maximum life support measures, he died on day 13. The mushroom he had mistaken for an edible variety contained trichothecene mycotoxins, compounds so potent they had once been investigated as biological weapons.
Dude, oh my God. So he was just picking a bunch of mushrooms and he didn't realize that he picked the wrong mushroom. Dude, wow, dude.
Turned fatal. On May 7th,
What? A
2019,
date that turned-
23-year-old Allison Pickering agreed to a first date with a classmate at a trendy seafood restaurant in Boston. The senior at Boston University was just 3 days away from graduation, eagerly anticipating the environmental science career she had spent years preparing for. Allison had lived with a severe peanut allergy since childhood and always carried 2 EpiPens in her purse. When ordering, she did what she had done hundreds of times before, informed the server about her peanut allergy. She selected the mahi mahi, a dish she had safely enjoyed at the same restaurant twice before. Unknown to Allison, the restaurant had recently updated their menu. The fish now came with a peanut-based sauce not mentioned in the description.
Oh my
Halfway through her
gosh.
meal, Allison felt the first warning sign, a tingling sensation in her lips. She put down her fork immediately and reached for her water glass. Within seconds, the tingling progressed to swelling. She calmly told her date she was having an allergic reaction and retrieved an EpiPen from her purse. Allison self-administered the epinephrine auto-injector, pressing it firmly against her outer thigh as she had been trained to do. The date called 911. Restaurant staff cleared a path to the entrance. Allison remained conscious and alert, even walking unassisted to meet the ambulance that had arrived within minutes. This false stability is common in severe allergic reactions. The EpiPen had temporarily slowed the reaction, but the allergen continued circulating through her system. In the ambulance, just 4 minutes after leaving the restaurant, Allison's blood pressure plummeted. Her airways, already narrowed by inflammation, began closing completely.
gosh.
Paramedics immediately administered a second epinephrine dose and intravenous antihistamines. They placed an oxygen mask over her face, but her oxygen saturation continued dropping. By the time they reached Massachusetts General Hospital, Allison was in full anaphylactic
Oh my
shock. Her heart
God.
had slowed to a dangerous rhythm. The emergency room team worked frantically, performing an emergency tracheotomy to bypass her swollen airways. Despite their efforts,
Yeah, I don't even know what any of these words mean. I'm just kind of just enjoying the story.
Allison Pickering's heart stopped at 9:43 p.m. After 20 minutes of resuscitation attempts, she was pronounced dead. Her graduation gown would hang unworn, her future erased by a hidden ingredient in a restaurant meal she thought was safe.
Bro, so he said that she went to that restaurant 2 other times before, ordered the same thing, and she still asked if they had peanuts in it, and they were like, nah, we don't. But they had just updated the menu. So that worker, the worker who took her order, remembered the old menu. He's like, oh yeah, it doesn't have any peanuts. But he didn't know the new menu that had peanut. Dude, this is why restaurants got to be on top of things, bro. People, you got to know, like, man.
The leftover Bonaloo feast.
Huh?
On July 17th, 2018, the Bonaloo Festival brought vibrant celebrations to the streets of Hyderabad, India. The annual Hindu festival honored the goddess Mahakali with elaborate offerings of food and rituals.
Huh?
46-year-old Srinivas Yadav, a local shopkeeper, participated in the festivities with his extended family, preparing traditional dishes including mutton, chicken, and specially prepared goat intestines.
Goat intestines? Yeah, I'll never be going to India.
The celebration continued late into the night. When it ended, leftover food was packed away. The temperature that night remained above 30 degrees Celsius, dangerously warm for storing meat. The following day, at lunch, Srinivas and 3 relatives reheated and consumed the leftover feast. The meat had been refrigerated briefly, then sat at room temperature for hours before being warmed again. Perfect conditions for bacterial growth. Just 4 hours later, Srinivas experienced severe abdominal cramps. The pain came in waves, doubling him over. Soon after, violent vomiting began, followed by profuse watery diarrhea. His relatives, 2 brothers-in-law and a nephew, developed similar symptoms. By evening, all 4 men were severely dehydrated. Srinivas's condition deteriorated faster than the others. His vomiting became tinged with blood. His skin turned cold and clammy as his blood pressure dropped.
Wait, so what happened? He didn't refrigerate his food properly?
Family members rushed all 4 men to Gandhi Hospital around midnight, with Srinivas barely conscious upon arrival. Medical tests revealed Bacillus cereus food poisoning, a particularly aggressive form that produces 2 distinct toxins. One causes vomiting by directly attacking the stomach lining. The other produces a toxin that remains stable even through reheating and triggers dangerous intestinal inflammation. By morning, Srinivas had lost over 12% of his body's fluid volume. His kidneys began to fail as they struggled to process the bacterial toxins. His heart rate climbed to 160 beats per minute as his body fought to maintain blood pressure.
Jesus Christ, that's like, bro, he could have ran a freaking marathon.
Despite aggressive IV fluid replacement and antibiotics, his organs continued shutting down one by one. At 6:17 the next morning, less than 18 hours after consuming the meal, Srinivas Yadav went into cardiac arrest. Resuscitation attempts failed. The other 3 men survived after several days of intensive treatment. Health officials later confirmed that improper storage between serving and reheating had allowed bacteria to multiply to lethal levels in the festival food.
What the hell? What's up, dummies? Today we're about to react to the most painful airplane deaths ever. Look at this, bro. Somebody got their face ripped off. They got sucked out of an airplane. This is gonna be insane. And it's even crazier because literally in about 4 hours, I'm getting on an airplane. I'm going on a cruise with my family. So, dude, I don't know why I'm watching this. This might be a bad idea. If you guys have a plane ride coming up, don't watch this, bro. We're gonna find out the craziest plane deaths. Oh, God. 20 minutes.
It was supposed to be an ordinary flight from New York to Dallas. Instead, it turned into one of the most horrifying mid-air tragedies in US aviation history. On April 17th, 2018, a woman would board a Boeing 737 carrying 149 people to take a trip back to her home in Albuquerque, New Mexico.
Okay, first off, why do you even live in Albuquerque, New Mexico? That's the weirdest place ever. Also, 100+ people on this plane? Hopefully nothing happens, bro. That's insane.
On Southwest Airlines, passengers aren't assigned specific seats. They simply just band together in groups and pick any seat that's available. The only one left for the woman was a seat in row 14 on the left side of the plane next to a window.
Hold on, row 14. Hold on, I gotta check mine. Dude, because I swear mine said 14 earlier when I looked at it. Hold on. Okay, no, I'm tripping. It says 19. You won't be able to see it because my camera's busted. 19. Whew, I was about to say, I'm turning this video off. All right, I'm not gonna pause it anymore. Everybody always gets mad when I pause it. If I pause it, you can unsubscribe. I promise I'm not gonna pause it ever again.
After making herself comfortable in her new spot, something unexpected would happen. After the plane took off, it spontaneously suffered a catastrophic engine failure at 32,000 feet.
Oh, man.
A fan blade broke loose, ripping through the engine casing and sending dangerous shrapnel into the plane's fuselage. One piece of debris struck a window, instantly blowing it out. And as you would guess, the window it struck would be none other than the woman's. In an instant, the 43-year-old mother of 2 was partially sucked out of the plane. The decompression
Where was your seatbelt, dude?
was violent. Passengers scrambled in shock as the rushing wind pulled her torso outside, leaving her head and arms flailing violently into the sky.
Dude, like, have you ever put your head outside the window in a car? Like, if you're on the highway, it's like, right? Like, it's pretty high power when you're on the highway, but you do it anyway because it's fun. That's 70 miles per hour. Imagine like 500 miles per hour. This plane's going like 500 miles per hour. Your eyeballs are broken. Like oh my.
Desperate to save her, fellow passengers held onto her legs, trying to keep her body inside the plane with every ounce of their strength. Flight attendants fought chaos with calmness, urging everyone to remain seated while the crew prepared for an emergency descent. For 20 agonizing minutes, the cabin was a battleground between survival and disaster. Despite passengers' efforts, the vicious thrashing was too severe on the woman's body. By the time the crippled jet made its emergency landing in Philadelphia, she had passed away. Times like these revealed just how fragile safety can be at 30,000 feet in the air, and how a single shattered pane of glass can mean the difference between a peaceful ride to your destination and pure tragedy.
So if the glass ever breaks, you better lock in, bro. All right, here's the next one.
It was a desperate escape. A young boy longed for adventure, for freedom beyond the confines of his home in Sydney, Australia.
Okay.
On February
Australia.
21st, 1970, he slipped past security at the Sydney airport and crawled into the wheel well of a DC-8 jet that was headed for Tokyo.
Okay, what? This kid snuck out of his house. He's young. I think he said he was like 9 years old. Snuck out of his house, snuck by the airport workers, and then climbed into a wheel section of a jet.
He thought he'd hidden himself safely away and that he was ready to be carried across the world. But stowaway flights carry a fatal flaw. Moments after takeoff, the landing gear began to retract. While the plane was flying, the wheel well doors opened and the boy was suddenly exposed to the rushing sky. With no warning, he tumbled out, plummeting 200 feet to the ground with his body slamming into the earth as horrified witnesses looked on. In a tragic twist, a photographer testing out a new camera lens wanted to give the device a try. He thought to himself, what's more breathtaking to photograph than a plane on the verge of takeoff? As he positioned himself and his new camera lens to take a photo of the plane flying, he would accidentally and unknowingly captured the boy's final fall.
No way.
This incident would leave behind a tragic and haunting image of a body suspended midair just seconds before doom.
Dude, that's an actual photo. So nobody was hurt, by the way, YouTube. This is a fake photo and stuff. But dude, this is a photo of what the? How do you just like perfectly time that? Oh my gosh.
His parents were devastated. Reports show that in response to him running away, they would travel with him overseas to satisfy his adventurous spirit. But even at that, he still kept running away, so they sent him to a boarding school to keep him grounded and protected. Nonetheless, the boy still escaped. I won't lie,
this guy just wanted to travel, bro. This guy would escape from any... His parents sent him to a boarding school because he kept escaping the house trying to go travel. He didn't give a damn. I bet he enjoyed falling from the sky. I bet he was like, this is dope.
The blender.
All right, the blender incident.
Airports are supposed to be gateways of excitement, the place where journeys begin. But for one man at the Milan Malpensa airport, the runway became a place of unimaginable shock.
Oh my God, I think the blender incident, I think this might be that he got sucked into the propeller of the plane. Like if you ever played GTA 5, in one of the missions, somebody got sucked into the propeller and they got blended up. Oh my God, don't tell me that actually happened in real life.
July 2023, a 35-year-old ground worker and father of two would slip past security and break onto the runway. The man didn't have any tickets and wasn't a plane passenger of any sort, so staff and security alike would tackle him down to the ground. However, upon breaking free from their grasps, he would begin climbing onto the side of the Airbus. As the plane began slowly powering up and got ready to take off, its sudden movement caused the man to fall off. Without a second to waste, the man would jump back up and run to the other side of the plane to climb on top of it again. However, as he was crossing the left side, the jet's ginormous engine would violently suck the man inside. A jet engine's blades are razor sharp and spin thousands of times per minute. Not to mention that the deeper you go inside of it, the hotter it gets. The man instantly was blended into a red mess. His remains were unrecognizable, and the only things that were assumed to be left behind were pieces of bone, tissue, and shredded clothing. Witnesses like the aircraft marshal said the force was so sudden and violent that there was absolutely no chance of escape.
Dude, he said that he got all chopped up and blended, but then it was warm in there. So I bet he got cooked. Like he actually genuinely got cooked up and chopped up. It was like freaking like cooked human meat. Oh my gosh.
He'd go on to say that one moment, as the marshal, he was guiding the plane into position. The next moment, he sees the powerful vacuum of the engine ripping a man from the ground and dragging his body into its spinning blades. The sound was deafening. Passengers on board watched in shock, realizing what had just happened. Authorities later confirmed that the man passed away instantly. Colleagues described him as cheerful, hardworking, and devoted to his family.
Okay, but did they keep flying? Like, dude, if I get on this plane, this isn't gonna happen, hopefully, right? But if I get on this plane, then we're like taking off, and somebody gets chopped up through the thing, are we just gonna keep flying? Or are we gonna slow down? Like, dude, I don't want to miss my flight.
But his passing was a chilling reminder of the brutal physics at play in aviation. One simple misstep of being too close to an active engine can erase a life in seconds, or maybe even quicker.
Wow.
The ghost plane incident.
Ghost plane
On the
incident?
morning of August 14th, 2005, what began as a routine flight from Cyprus to Athens turned into one of the eeriest tragedies in aviation history. A Boeing 737 carrying 121 people climbed into the skies. But just minutes after takeoff, something was terribly wrong. The cabin pressurization system had been left in manual mode during pre-flight checks. As the aircraft ascended, oxygen levels dropped. Slowly, everyone on board began to lose consciousness. Passengers
Really?
slumped in their seats. The pilots collapsed at the controls. And as for the plane, it became eerily silent on the inside and kept on flying at 34,000 feet in the sky on autopilot. For 2 hours, the plane would continuously fly in a circle above Athens.
Wow. So these people forgot to flick a switch on the plane or whatever, so it took all the oxygen out of the plane and everyone just like fell asleep, dude, and it was just flying. Hopefully they woke up and landed
A
it.
massive aircraft, full of unconscious souls, drifting with no one in command.
Wow.
Fighter jets scrambled to intercept it, peering into the cockpit only to see the captain's chair empty and the co-pilot slumped lifelessly over the controls. Meanwhile, oxygen masks dangled uselessly from the ceiling. But then, one man moved. Flight attendant Andreas Prodromou had regained partial consciousness thanks to a portable oxygen supply.
Wow.
In a desperate final act, he entered the cockpit and tried to save the aircraft. Witnesses believe he attempted to steer it away from Athens, sparing the city from catastrophe. At 12:04, nearly 3 hours after takeoff, the plane eventually ran out of fuel. Despite the man's efforts to try to land it properly away from the city, the Boeing plunged into a hillside near Grammatiko in Greece, leaving nobody on board to survive its crash. Investigators concluded it was a costly mix of human error and mechanical oversight.
I ain't reading all
A
that.
simple switch left in the wrong position, a mistake no one caught in time.
Dude, like, so that guy woke up and he was like, really like, ugh. And he went to the captain's thing and he didn't even know how to fly. And he was just like, like, he tried to move the plane away from the city because if he crashed into the city, he would kill a bunch more people. That is nice, though, that he ended up, putting it towards like a mountain or something. It still sucks that like all of them had to pass away or whatever. But dude, like, it would have been cool if he could have just like angled it perfectly. If there was like an ocean nearby, angled it perfectly so that like it like just went like right over the ocean. Then it like just kind of started sinking. I don't know what I'm trying to say. They still would have drowned.
Although devastating, the lives on the plane are still remembered till this day.
Wow.
Especially the
Rest in peace.
heroic man who was able to veer the plane away from Athens city and stop it from crashing on hundreds of unsuspecting citizens.
Yep.
Oh, the humanity.
Oh, the humanity.
On May
This says it's nightmare fuel. So this is showing how creepy these stories are. This might be the creepiest one, I think. Oh, God. All right.
6th, 1937.
Oh, of course, it's going to be 1937. I didn't even know they had planes, dude. I thought people were flying in like paper airplanes
A
and stuff.
luxurious German passenger airship, marketed as the peak of elegance and wealth, attempted to
hell is
dock
that?
at the Lakehurst Naval Air Station in New Jersey after a transatlantic flight. Dozens of spectators gathered to watch the massive Zeppelin. It was 804 feet long, which is nearly twice the length of a Boeing 747.
Wow,
It also
that's
weighed
big.
nearly 500,000 pounds. But it only carried 97 people. The beautiful airship began to descend from the clouds, preparing itself to land. Then, without warning, disaster struck. You see, the ship was maneuvering during a thunderstorm and garnered a static electric charge within its metal frame. Normally, this wouldn't be too much of an issue if the ship was using helium, as it was quite literally designed to use it. But for political reasons in 1937, the United States refused to export helium to Germany. And so
Really?
individuals would go on to fill the airship with hydrogen instead, an extremely flammable gas. Even though the Germans knew this was very dangerous, they did it anyway. And so, as the Hindenburg hovered above the mooring mast, it dropped its landing ropes, which is theorized to have created a spark. In a flash, gigantic flames erupted near the tail of the ship, and within seconds, the entire airship was engulfed in fire, while it was still flying in the sky. The hydrogen gas keeping the Zeppelin afloat ignited into a breathing inferno, turning the proud airship into a falling torch as it floated 200 feet off the ground.
So what's happening?
People inside struggled for survival
That's
as the
what
interior became an oven of smoke and flames. Many people and others collapsed from smoke inhalation.
Wow.
Ultimately, passengers became faced with the horrifying reality that their only escape from the ship was to jump 200 feet to the ground.
No.
People leapt from the burning craft as it collapsed to the ground in just 34 seconds.
Dude, he got damn battlefield footage.
The screams of passengers became
This is a video game. This is a video game,
mixed
YouTube.
with the roar of fire. And terrifying enough, 36 people would perish from this disaster.
Oh.
But what really made this tragedy unforgettable was the live radio broadcast. Remember that this was going on in 1937? Many people never saw or even heard of things like this, especially on radio. Reporter Herbert Morrison, who was covering the landing, was overcome with horror as he cried out words that would echo through history.
All the humanity and all the passengers screaming around it. I told them, I can't talk to people.
Oh, the humanity.
Wow.
A phrase that became synonymous with the disaster, leaving many others to shout the same thing whenever witnessing another tragedy unfold.
Bro. So this guy was, his job was to do a radio broadcast talking about how this big new like airplane ship thing is landing, and then it just explodes and catches on fire, and he's just like, ah, dude, that is crazy. Hey, at the end of the video, he shows a video of a damn baby little goat to make everybody happy. Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, always stay happy, bro. What's up, dummies? Today we're about to react to the worst school field trip deaths ever. Look at this kid, bro. He got like a stop sign lodged into his face. Dude, these are gonna be crazy field trip deaths. If you've ever been on a field trip, this is gonna be a crazy video. Let's try not to get scared.
On April 16th, 2014, students from Danwon High School in South Korea boarded the Sewol ferry for a class trip to Jeju Island.
That's dope. Wait, what? When I was a kid, I would go on school field trips to like the amusement park or something. Like, they're going to an island on a boat? What the hell type of school were you at?
There were 476 people on board. Most were
Hell
teenagers.
No.
They wore
Wow.
their school uniforms and carried back.
This dude's hair looks like a damn lettuce. Oh my god, I need to stop making fun of them. I forgot this was deaths. Sorry, you still do look like lettuce, and that looks like ground beef, and that looks like a paper bag. Okay, I need to chill, bro. What am I?
Others had snacks for the journey. They were excited. It was supposed to be a fun field trip. The
Okay.
ferry was 475 feet long. It had been modified to carry more passengers and cargo. The modifications made it less stable. But nobody told the students this. Around 8:48 a.m., the ferry was sailing through the Yellow Sea. The water was calm. Students were in the common areas. Some were eating breakfast. Others were taking selfies and posting on social media. A few were still sleeping in their cabins below deck. At 8:49 a.m., the ferry made a sharp turn. Too sharp that it caused the ship to tilt to one side.
No
Students
way.
stumbled and trays slid across the floor. Everyone was in panic. Then, the intercom crackled. A voice told everyone to stay where they were. The students obediently listened. They trusted the crew, but the ship never stopped tilting further. On the other end, the captain and crew members began evacuating. They left first, leaving the passengers aboard. At
No way.
9:30 a.m.,
No way, the captain and the crew members got off, but they left all the kids in their rooms and stuff? They just said, don't leave your room. Wow.
the ship was already listing at 50 degrees. Students in lower cabins were faced with rising water. The corridors had become steep slopes. Some tried climbing out. Others stayed in their rooms like they'd been told. They were scared, confused.
Bro, what do you mean should I go out? Break the damn window. I don't care, bro. If like I'm stuck on, like I go on cruise ships all the time. So if something like this were to happen and I was stuck in a room, I'm breaking the damn window, bro.
Yet, the water kept rising.
Wow.
Students who tried escaping faced flooded stairwells. The water was dark and cold. Some made it to windows but couldn't break through. Others got stuck in narrow passages as the ship turned on its side. At 10:31 a.m., the Sewol capsized completely. Divers arrived but couldn't get inside immediately. The currents were too strong. When they finally entered, they found students still in their cabins, still wearing their uniforms. Some were holding hands. Others had their life jackets on, but had never left their rooms.
They were holding hands. Oh my god.
304 people had died,
Wow.
most of whom were students from Danwon High School. Only 172 survived. Shoes and backpacks later washed up on shore.
Oh my
The
gosh.
captain was later arrested and sentenced to life in prison.
Wow, he got sentenced to life in prison because he freaking left while all the kids were still on board. Yeah, bro, that's messed up. You gotta make sure you get the people up. Wow, so they were planning on going to an island for their freaking school field trip. I mean, at least they didn't have to do homework that day, right?
Mount Hood Incident. On May 12, 1986, 19 students and staff from Oregon Episcopal School gathered at Timberline Lodge on Mount Hood.
That looks dope. Wow, that looks awesome. I want to go there so bad. I love like a ski resort, like snowy vibe. That is awesome.
Were there for base camp, a required outdoor education program. The students were excited. Most had never climbed a mountain before. The group included experienced climbers.
Wait, this school did a field trip climbing a mountain? What the hell was wrong with my school, dude? We would go to like Chuck E. Cheese.
And teachers. The weather forecast looked good. They planned to climb to the summit and back in one day. The morning was clear and cold. Students wore field jackets and carried backpacks. Some joked and laughed as they hiked. Others were quiet, focusing on the climb ahead. By afternoon, they'd reached higher elevations. The weather was still clear. Everything felt perfect. Then suddenly the conditions changed. Clouds rolled in fast.
Ooh.
Wind speeds increased. Visibility dropped. What had been a clear mountain became a white wall of blowing snow. The
Wow.
group tried to descend, but the whiteout made navigation nearly impossible. They couldn't see more than a few feet ahead. The wind was so loud they had to shout to hear each other. The temperature was dropping. Students huddled together trying to stay warm. Some were already
Wow.
showing signs of hypothermia, shivering, confused, moving slowly. The leaders tried to radio for help, but the storm interfered with transmission. Their calls didn't get through. Night fell. The temperature dropped to 10 degrees Fahrenheit. Wind
Oh.
speeds hit 100 miles per hour.
Oh my
Students
God.
dug into the snow trying to create shelter. The storm lasted through the night. Students in light jackets faced brutal cold. Frostbite set in. Hypothermia took hold. Rescuers tried reaching them, but the storm was too severe. Helicopters couldn't fly. Ground teams couldn't move in the whiteout. By morning, the storm had passed. Rescue teams found the survivors first. Then they found the others. Bodies curled near rocks. Clothing became stiff with
Wow.
ice. Some students had been only yards from safety, but couldn't see through the storm.
Oh, that's crazy, bro. So some of them were right next to the house and right next to the lodge, but because it was so windy and snowy, they couldn't even see that they were so close. Oh my
People
God.
died. 7 students
9
and 2
deaths.
adults.
Oh
They
my
froze to
gosh.
death on a school trip that was supposed to teach them outdoor skills.
Wow.
Yanga bus tragedy. On
Huh?
August 3rd, 1991, students from St. Killian's Mission School piled onto buses for a sports day trip at Regina Coeli School in Zimbabwe. It was a
What the
beautiful
hell?
morning. The kids were loud and excited. They'd spent the day competing in games, running races, playing football, and laughing with friends. Around 82 school children were on the buses heading home. They were
Wow.
tired but happy. Some had won medals. Others compared bruises from the day's activities. The
Awesome.
bus was full of chatter and singing. The route moved through the mountains near Nyanga,
Wow.
180 miles southeast of Zimbabwe's capital, Harare. Beautiful scenery, sharp curves, steep drops. The bus was moving fast, too
Ooh.
fast for the winding roads. Some
Uh-oh.
students noticed. A few felt nervous as the bus swayed around corners. Teachers told the driver to slow down. He didn't listen. The bus approached another
Really?
curve. At that moment, the driver hit the brakes, but it was too late. The bus rolled off the road down the hillside.
Oh my
Students
God.
screamed. Bodies tumbled inside. Windows shattered. When it finally stopped, the wreckage was catastrophic. The bus had been torn apart. Bodies were scattered across the slope. Sports equipment lay everywhere. Survivors crawled out. Some were in shock. Others screamed for help. The smell of petrol filled the air. A few students tried helping their friends but couldn't move them. Too much blood. Too many injuries. Rescue took
Oh,
hours.
wow.
The crash site was a remote rural valley. There were limited emergency services.
Wow.
The accident claimed the lives of 89 people.
Oh.
82 were school children. Kids who'd been celebrating just
Ah.
hours earlier are now gone because a driver wouldn't slow down.
Wow.
Alton bus incident. On September
Stupid.
21st, 1989, students in Alton, Texas boarded their school bus in the morning. It was a regular day, junior and senior high school students heading to class. 81 students were on board. The bus traveled along Highway 336. The driver was familiar with the route. A few moments later, something tragic happened. At an intersection, a Dr. Pepper delivery truck approached from another
What the
direction.
hell?
The truck driver was supposed to stop, but he didn't stop. Suddenly,
Oh.
the truck slammed into the side of the bus at full speed.
Oh my
The impact was
gosh.
massive. Metal crunched. Glass exploded. Students were thrown from their seats. The bus veered off the road. It plunged into a water-filled caliche pit and began sinking immediately. Students were disoriented from the crash. They tried finding exits, but they couldn't find any because bodies were pressed together, blocking the exits. Within minutes, the water was already over their heads. The students held their breath. They tried swimming
Hell
toward the
no.
windows, but many couldn't break through. Others got trapped by seat frames and metal debris. Some students near the exits made it out. They surfaced gasping and watched in horror as the bus sank deeper. Rescuers arrived and dove into the murky water. They pulled students out one by one.
Oh my
Some were
gosh.
conscious. Most weren't. 21 students were recorded dead from the
Oh
incident.
my God.
Dead Sea tragedy. On October
Wow.
25th, 2018, school children from Jordan arrived at Zarqa Mayan near the
Jordan?
Dead Sea for
Like
an
Michael
educational
Jordan?
trip. It was a popular spot.
Hell.
Hot springs, beautiful gorges, and rocky passages perfect for photos.
That's
The
nice.
morning was sunny and warm. Students explored the area. They took pictures and walked through narrow wadis.
That
These
looks like
were
me.
dry riverbeds carved through rock. But the students didn't know that wadis can become death traps in minutes. Around midday, students were posing for group photos in a narrow gorge. Teachers supervised. Everyone was relaxed, happy. Then someone heard a noise.
What's
a
gonna
sound
happen?
like distant thunder. Within minutes, it grew louder. Then a wall of brown water came roaring through the gorge. It was a flash flood moving at incredible speed. It was 6 feet high, carrying
Wow.
debris, rocks, branches, everything in its path. Students screamed and tried running, but there was nowhere to go.
Oh my
The gorge
gosh.
walls were too steep. The water was too fast. It hit them like a truck. They were swept off their feet. Teachers grabbed at children, but the current was too strong. Bodies tumbled in the churning water.
Oh
Some clung to
no.
rocks. Others were carried downstream. The water kept coming, wave after wave, brown and violent. Students who'd grabbed onto something watched their friends disappear in the current. Some students managed to climb higher on the rocks. Others weren't fast enough. The flood swept them into wider channels, bashed them against boulders,
Oh my
pulled them
gosh.
under. Rescue teams arrived, but the flood was still raging. They couldn't reach everyone. They watched helplessly as students were carried away. Parents arrived at the scene. The sounds of mothers crying mixed with rushing water. When the flood finally subsided, rescuers
Ah.
found bodies scattered along the wadi. Some were miles from where they started. Others were buried in mud and debris. 21 people died. Most were school children, killed by water that
21.
came from storms they never saw. A sunny day turned into a nightmare in seconds.
Wow. Nature is
Parktown Boys
crazy.
tragedy. On January
Like nature, you just never know when the weather could go bad. In that first story or the second story, they were hiking and it was supposed to be sunny out and then it just became snowy really quick. Weather can change instantly. You got to be
15th,
prepared.
2020, grade 8 students
2020.
from Parktown Boys High School in South Africa
Wow.
arrived at Nayati Bush and Riverbreak Lodge for orientation camp. It was supposed to build teamwork and help new students bond. The camp was near the Crocodile River. One of the activities required students to build rafts and cross the river. The students were
cool.
excited. It felt adventurous, like something from a movie, until it became something else. 13-year-old Enoch Mpianzi was among them. He helped build a raft with his group. They tied logs together and tested the ropes. Teachers and camp staff supervised them. The river looked calm. Brown water moved slowly. Students didn't know the current was stronger than it appeared. The groups pushed
Ooh.
their rafts into the water. Some rafts were more stable than others. Enoch's raft looked wobbly, but they launched anyway. The raft made it a few meters
Oh.
from shore. Then it started tipping. Students tried balancing, but the raft flipped. At that moment, they
Oh.
fell into the brown water. Most of them surfaced quickly, grabbed onto logs, and started swimming. Teachers on the bank shouted instructions, but Enoch didn't surface. Students looked around for him,
Wow.
called his name. Nothing. The water was too dark
They
to
didn't
see
know how
below
to
the
swim?
surface. They started searching. Students on the
Something in my
bank watched in
eye.
growing panic. Where was Enoch? Rescue efforts began, but they were slow. The camp didn't have proper emergency procedures. No lifeguards, no immediate rescue equipment. Minutes passed, then an hour. Other students were
Oh,
pulled
he's
from
gone.
the water, but not Enoch. His classmates stood on the bank wrapped in towels, shivering,
He's
crying. They
he's
just
done
watched
for.
their friend disappear. The next day, his body was found.
Oh my
Downstream.
God.
He drowned.
That's
He wasn't
sad.
wearing a life jacket. Kerala bus incident. On
Kerala
October
bus
5th,
incident.
2022, students from
2022?
Kerala, India boarded a private tourist bus for a school outing. It was late evening. Most students were tired from the day's activities. Some slept in their seats. Others talked quietly. The bus traveled along a highway heading home. The driver was going fast, much faster than safe. He was trying to overtake another vehicle. Ahead was a state transport bus, but the driver didn't see it until it was too late. He
Oh my
slammed
gosh.
on the brakes. The bus skidded, but the speed was too high. The tourist bus crashed into the state bus at high speed. The impact was catastrophic. The front of the bus crumpled. Students were thrown forward and the bus rolled onto its side. Inside was chaos. Students who'd
Oh.
been sleeping woke up to pain and screaming. Others couldn't move. They were trapped by twisted metal and overturned seats. Those who could move tried helping others, but some students weren't responding. Blood covered the floor. The smell of fuel filled the air. Emergency services arrived. They cut through metal to reach trapped students, pulled bodies from the wreckage. Some students were conscious. Others weren't breathing. Parents rushed to hospitals. Corridors filled with crying families. Doctors worked on
Oh.
student after student. Some survived with injuries.
Damn.
Others didn't make it. Eventually, 9 people died, 5 of whom were
Oh my
students.
gosh, bro.
Wasan Gishu incident. On
What?
October 28th, 2023,
2023?
primary school pupils from Arab Moy Primary School in Kenya
Wow.
arrived at a
Kenya.
man-made dam in Uasin Gishu County for a school outing. It was supposed to be an educational trip in preparation for an examination. The children were young and excited. The dam was a popular local spot, perfect for small boat rides and nature lessons. The teachers had organized canoe trips across the water. The children gathered at the water's edge. They wore their school uniforms. Some carried lunches their parents had packed. They talked
Wow.
excitedly about getting in the boats. Most had never been in a canoe before. The boats were small and made with simple wooden craft and rafts. They climbed in groups, too many in each boat. The teachers tried organizing them, but the children were eager. They pushed off from shore. The boats sat low in the water, overloaded, but they didn't notice. They were laughing, splashing water at each other. As they moved slowly across the dam, one of the boats started tipping. The children shifted their weight trying to balance, but there were too many bodies on one side.
Gosh.
The boat tilted further, and water started pouring over the edge. The children screamed. Some tried jumping to the other side, but that made it worse. At 5 p.m., the boat flipped completely. They all fell into the water. Most couldn't swim. They tried grabbing onto the overturned boat, but their hands kept slipping. Nobody was wearing life jackets. Teachers on shore started shouting. Other boats tried turning back, but they were too far away. The pupils in the water were sinking fast. Small arms reaching up, faces disappearing under the surface.
Oh.
The water wasn't deep, but panic made them forget to stand. They inhaled water, choked and drowned. Teachers ran into the water trying to reach them, but by the time they got there, several children had already sunk. The surface was eerily calm, just ripples where they had been moments before. Rescuers pulled the children from the water. Some were still conscious, coughing up water. Others were limp. The pupils were wrapped in blankets and sat crying, watching their friends being carried away. In the end, 5 pupils died. They had drowned in a school outing that should have been fun. Lake Timiskaming Incident. On June 11, 1978, 27 students from St. John's School in Toronto set out on a canoeing expedition. The boys were between 12 and 13 years old. It was part of the school's mandatory outdoor education program, a character-building wilderness trip on Lake Timiskaming, about 217 miles north of Ottawa. 4 teachers and staff went with them for supervision. They'd done this trip before. It was tradition. The boys paddled in groups. Multiple canoes spread across the lake. The water was calm at first. The boys were in good spirits. Some sang songs. Others competed to see who could paddle fastest. They were miles from shore when the weather suddenly changed. Dark clouds appeared on the horizon. The calm water turned choppy. Teachers recognized the danger. They signaled the canoes to head for shore, but they were too far out. Before they could reach land, the storm hit. The boys paddled desperately, but the waves were too strong. In a moment, one canoe capsized, then another. The boys were thrown into the cold water. They tried swimming, but the waves kept pushing them under. Life jackets kept them afloat, but the water temperature was 39.2 degrees Fahrenheit.
That's freezing cold.
An average adult won't last beyond 40 minutes in it. Teachers in other canoes tried reaching the boys in the water, but the storm was too violent. Their own canoes were taking on water. Some started capsizing too. The storm lasted for hours. By the time it passed, rescue boats found survivors clinging to overturned canoes, shivering violently in shock. Others floated face down in life jackets. Their bodies had given up fighting the cold. 13 people died, 12 boys and 1 teacher. They drowned and died from hypothermia on a school trip that was supposed to build character.
Water? This is crazy, bro. What's up, dummies? Today we're about to react to the most painful drive-through deaths ever. Look at this. Somebody was apparently going through Wendy's and somehow they got their head chopped off. These are going to be crazy stories of people who were just going through the drive-through, getting a burger, getting a sandwich, getting some french fries, and then they died. This video is probably going to get deleted by YouTube, so if you're watching this, you should feel special. Let's go. Most people drive through deaths.
Sylvester Zottala. 2018, Sylvester Zottala pulled his SUV into a...
Okay, hold on, bro. Why the hell are you going to McDonald's? You need to go to the barber, bro. You look like Shakespeare, bro. What the hell is that? George Washington haircut ass. All right, I need to stop. I just started the video and I'm already being rude. All right, I'm not going to pause the video the rest of the time. Promise. Let's go. Let's see how this guy died.
Drive-through in the Bronx. The 71-year-old real estate businessman was known for his tough approach to business and connections to organized crime families in New York. As he waited for his order in the vehicle, he had no...
Bro, what type of car is that, bro? That's the worst car ever. Bro, I hope somebody crashes into you.
He was being tracked by a GPS device planted on his car weeks earlier. Zottala had survived multiple attempts on his life in the previous year. In November 2017, he was stabbed in the neck and chest outside his home. In December, 3 men invaded his house, stabbed him, and cut his throat. Somehow, he survived both attacks.
Bro, this dude, bro, maybe I need to get a haircut like that. How the hell are you, bro, what the? Okay, so people are trying to kill this guy because he's got a ton of money. That's crazy, bro. The world is crazy. Let's see what happened at McDonald's.
But this
McDonald's was his final
time would be different. As Zottala's SUV idled in the narrow drive-through lane, a dark sedan pulled up alongside him. The driver's window lowered. Within seconds, 5 gunshots were fired at point-blank range. The bullets tore through the side window of Zottala's vehicle, striking him in the head, chest, and shoulder. The shots were precise and clearly intended to guarantee death. There was no chance of survival. As blood spread across the interior of the SUV...
Bro, did it shoot into the McDonald's? Imagine you're just like cooking. Let's say you're cooking McDonald's. You're just like you know, sizzling the nuggets or whatever. I don't know how they cook that stuff. It's probably pre-made. Oh, like you're like making a burger and then a bullet flies through the burger, dude. That would be
Zatola
fire.
slumped over the steering wheel. His foot slipped off the brake, causing his vehicle to roll forward slowly before stopping against the restaurant wall. First responders found him still strapped in his seatbelt, the engine running, food order undelivered.
Hey,
he was
got the
pronounced
seatbelt.
dead at the scene. What investigators discovered
God.
in the following months was more disturbing than the execution-style killing itself. The hit had been orchestrated by Anthony Zatola Sr., Sylvester's own son.
Huh? His son made it.
Anthony had paid Bashan Shelton, a member of the Bloods gang, $200,000 to have his father killed.
What?
The GPS tracker was the key to finding Sylvester at the drive-thru that day, where he had become a sitting target with no escape route. The father's death allowed the son to take control of the family's multi-million-dollar real estate empire, turning a simple drive-thru visit into a calculated assassination. Anthony Makowski.
Okay,
On
here's the
April
next one.
24th,
Imagine dying like you're like, oh, I'm about to give me a Big Mac. Boom! That's your final thought, bro. Okay, let's watch this. I'm
2005,
not pausing,
Spring
promise.
night in Jacksonville, Florida. Anthony Makowski pulled into a McDonald's parking lot with
Why is it always McDonald's, bro? Okay, I'm never going. I mean, I don't go there anyway, but I'm not going to McDonald's, bro, because you're gonna die.
friends. The 21-year-old Navy man had spent the evening at a nightclub and stopped for late-night food. What began as a routine fast food run would end in his death, captured entirely on the restaurant's security cameras. Around 2:15 a.m., Makowski and his friends were waiting in the drive-thru lane when they became involved in a verbal altercation with another group of young men.
So
The
they're
argument
arguing.
quickly escalated. Security footage showed Makowski exiting his vehicle and confronting the other group in the parking lot. Words were exchanged,
Oh!
tensions rose, and within moments the
punched!
confrontation turned physical. Makowski was grabbed by 20-year-old Lacey Eberly, who applied what witnesses later described as a chokehold or headlock from behind. The security camera captured Makowski's initial struggle as Eberly maintained his grip.
What is his friends doing, bro? Now they're getting out of the car? Why are you getting out of the car now, bro? If my friend got out of the car and he's arguing with somebody and then they punch him, I'm definitely out of the car. I'm punching back, bro.
For approximately 90 seconds, Eberly held Makowski in the
How?
restraint.
How? What is his friends doing? 90 seconds, bro. If my friend was getting choked out, he would probably get choked out for 3 seconds before I came over with a flying. Bro, what was his friends doing, bro? Were they that hungry? You wanted your McDonald's that bad? You're like, oh, hold on, my friend's about to die from not being able to breathe. Wait, one more minute. All right, hold on. One more. Like, what the?
Medical examiner would later determine this caused a fatal interruption of blood flow to Makowski's brain.
Oh my
In those
God.
critical seconds, oxygen deprivation began causing irreversible damage. Witnesses reported seeing Makowski's face turning purple, his legs kicking less and less as the seconds passed. By the time Eberly released his hold, Makowski collapsed to the pavement, unresponsive.
Look at how shocked he looks. He just choked him out and now he's dead. He's going to jail. But what are your friends doing, bro? Makowski, you got to get better friends, bro. He's like, oh no. Bro, I'm not doing that. If my friend's choked out on the ground, I'm Oh my God. Put me in one of these
Attempted
situations.
CPR, but the damage was already done. Paramedics arrived within minutes, finding Makowski without pulse or respiration. He was transported to Shands Jacksonville Medical Center, where he was pronounced dead. The autopsy revealed Makowski had died from asphyxiation due to compression of his neck blood vessels. Despite the clear video evidence of the incident, prosecutors declined to file criminal charges, ruling that Eberly had acted in self-defense. This decision sparked outrage and eventually led to a civil lawsuit from Makowski's family, challenging how a fast food argument had turned into a death sentence.
So what happened to his friends, though? Like, why were the friends just sitting there?
Anthony Tony Isles.
That's so
On September 8th,
stupid. All right.
2021, Anthony Isles pulled his vehicle into a
McDonald's. Do never go to McDonald's again,
McDonald's
guys.
drive-thru in Vancouver, British Columbia.
My God.
The 42-year-old elevator mechanic was making a routine stop for breakfast
Elevator
before heading
mechanic.
to work. He had just celebrated his wedding anniversary days before, and photos
Oh,
on
God.
social media showed a happy family man with his wife and 2 young children, ages 8 and 6. As Isles reached the payment window, he handed over his bank card to pay for his meal. The transaction complete, the employee returned his card, but instead of landing in Isles' hand, it fell to the ground outside his vehicle.
Okay, hold on. What's gonna happen here? He gave him the card. He dropped it. I've done that before. Hold on, and I didn't die. I dropped my card, and then I got out of my car and got the card. Yeah.
It was a small mistake that would have fatal consequences. Isles put his car in park, but left the engine running as he opened his door to retrieve the card.
Okay.
What happened next was captured on the restaurant's surveillance cameras. As Isles leaned out to reach for his card, his vehicle suddenly moved forward. The gap
Ow.
between his SUV and the building's brick wall rapidly closed. In a split second,
Oh
Isles
my
became
God.
pinned between his car door and the restaurant's structure.
Oh my God. Bro, he forgot to put his car in park. He got out and then grabbed it, but then his door was behind him and the brick wall of the building was there. So it was like pushing him into the brick wall. He didn't know where. Oh my God, that used to be one of my biggest fears as a kid. I would always see like in games or movies, like you're in a room, right? And then the walls start closing in. Imagine that you're in a room and the walls are closing and you're like, holy, what the hell do I do? Oh, and then it just gets closer and closer and you're like, yeah, and you explode. That actually happened to this guy at a McDonald's. Oh!
Sure. The pressure immediately crushed his chest and abdomen, restricting his ability to breathe. Drive-thru staff heard his initial cry for help and rushed outside, but found themselves unable to move the vehicle.
Man, get in the car and reverse!
A deadly compression. For several agonizing minutes, Isles remained conscious, trapped in the narrowing space as his vital organs were compressed. Oxygen deprivation began affecting his brain as he struggled for breath against the immovable wall and weight of his own vehicle. By the time emergency responders arrived and managed to move the vehicle, the damage was catastrophic. Despite immediate medical attention, Anthony Isles was pronounced dead at the scene from a traumatic asphyxiation and internal injuries.
I feel bad for his wife and his kids. He just said he just got married and he had 2 kids, a beautiful wife. And dude, imagine like it was in the morning. He went to go get breakfast. And then imagine his wife probably sleeping in. And then she gets a call. Hey, your husband died at McDonald's. Oh my God, bro.
The Vancouver Police Department later determined that he had likely bumped the gear shift while reaching down, causing the vehicle to lurch forward while he was partially outside it. What should have been a mundane breakfast stop had turned deadly in mere seconds over a dropped bank card. Richard Lowry.
It's better not be McDonald's.
2022,
I swear.
Richard Lowry celebrated his 86th birthday with family in Olathe, Kansas. After the gathering, the elderly man decided to treat himself to a meal at a local McDonald's drive-thru.
You getting me?
It was a cool autumn evening when Lowry pulled his silver Honda sedan into the narrow lane of the restaurant. Friends would later describe him as an active senior who still enjoyed his independence despite his advanced age. As Lowry reached the payment window and prepared to order, he accidentally dropped his eyeglasses from the vehicle. The prescription glasses fell just outside his car door, close enough that he thought he could retrieve them without leaving his vehicle. Security camera footage later showed Lowry opening his door and leaning out while still seated behind the wheel.
Don't tell me the same
What he didn't
thing.
realize was that his foot was slipping off the brake pedal. In a tragic sequence captured by the restaurant's surveillance system, Lowry's body stretched further out of the vehicle as he reached for the glasses. His foot then made contact with the accelerator pedal.
Oh my
the Honda
God.
lurched forward suddenly and with significant force. The open car door struck the building's exterior wall, creating an instant crush point with Lowry caught in between.
Bro.
The impact pinned Lowry's head and upper body between the door and the wall. Witnesses reported hearing a sickening sound as his skull made contact with the brick exterior. Drive-thru employees rushed outside but found Lowry already unconscious.
This happens often? This is 2 times where somebody gets out of their car and then gets smashed against the wall. Oh my God.
Severe trauma visible to his head and neck. The pressure had caused immediate and catastrophic damage to his brainstem. First responders arrived within minutes and managed to free him from the compression point, but the injury had already proven fatal. Despite resuscitation attempts, Richard Lowry was pronounced dead at the scene.
Okay, so what I'm understanding is if you go to McDonald's, which you shouldn't, but if you do, don't get out of your car.
The medical examiner later confirmed that blunt force trauma to the head was the cause of death.
Oh my
The date on his
God.
death certificate would match that of his birth certificate. A cruel
Oh my
coincidence that turned
God.
a birthday celebration.
Wow, it was his birthday. I forgot he said. Imagine being born and dead on the same day. That's what, you know what? This might sound crazy, but I think that's honestly, he deserved it. Why are you going to McDonald's on your birthday? You're trying to get a birthday snack? Hell no, bruh.
Into his final day. Kendrick Ingram Jr.
All right, if this is McDonald's, I swear to,
On
it's
June
not going to be. It's got to be Burger King or Wendy's or something, right? Not McDonald's.
26, 2022, temperatures in Columbus, Georgia reached a sweltering 96 degrees Fahrenheit.
That's hot as hell.
3-year-old Kendrick Ingram Jr. spent the day with his grandmother and other family members, visiting church and running various errands. The little boy, known for his bright smile and energetic personality, had no way of knowing that this ordinary Sunday would be his last.
Oh, it's a little
After a
kid.
day of activities, the family stopped at a Wendy's drive-thru around 5:30 p.m.
Wendy's! Let's go. We got Wendy's. We got Wendy's.
Kendrick's grandmother was driving the SUV with several other children inside. After ordering food, they returned home, where the grandmother and other children exited the vehicle. In the confusion of managing multiple young children, a critical oversight occurred. Kendrick remained buckled in his car seat in the third row of the SUV, forgotten and left behind. For the next 2 hours and 45 minutes, the temperature inside the vehicle climbed rapidly. Scientific studies show that on a 96-degree day, the interior of a parked car can reach 124 degrees in just 30 minutes. After 1 hour, temperatures can exceed 140 degrees. Kendrick was trapped in these escalating conditions, unable to free himself from his car seat. The physiological effects would have been swift and severe. Medical experts describe how a child's body temperature rises 3 to 5 times faster than an adult's. As the heat intensified, Kendrick would have experienced increasing distress. His breathing would have become labored as his body attempted to cool itself. Dehydration would have set in rapidly, causing his heart to beat faster while his organs began to shut down. Around 8:15 p.m., Kendrick's uncle borrowed the SUV to make a food run, returning to the same Wendy's drive-thru. While waiting in line, he discovered the child's motionless body still strapped in the back seat.
Oh, hell, that's one of the worst stories I've ever heard, bro. Oh my God. Okay, hold on. I gotta pause, bro. Wait, what? This 3-year-old kid was hanging out with his grandma all day and his other 2 siblings. He had like, him and a bunch of his cousins and siblings were hanging out with his grandma. This happens all the time. They go get food from Wendy's. All the kids are hungry, right? She gets the kids out of their car, but she forgets the one in the back seat. He's outside in 95-degree weather in the car. Oh my God. He ends up passing away in the back seat, just like melting, right? Then the grandpa comes and uses the car, goes to the drive-thru again to get more food. And then, oh my God, he's just like ordering. Yeah. And then like he looks, oh my, I can't even, that is one of the craziest things I've ever heard. Wow.
He immediately drove to the emergency room, but it was too late. Hospital staff pronounced Kendrick dead from hyperthermia. His small body had simply been unable to withstand the extreme heat. Inside the closed vehicle, with no water and no means of escape, the toddler had suffered a slow, agonizing death while his family remained unaware just yards away.
Look at this, bro. They're inside playing with each other. And like, I bet he could see them. I bet he was like, please. But he was in his car seat and he's like 3 years old, so he doesn't know how to get out. Oh my God, bro.
Charles Wood Jr.
Okay.
On December 20th, 2018, a cold winter night in St. Louis, Charles Wood Jr. pulled his car into a Jack in the Box drive.
Jack in the Box? Who the hell eats Jack in the Box?
Drive-through. The 20-year-old was a former high school football player who worked at a local factory. Friends described him as outgoing and quick to smile. It was around 10 p.m. when he placed his order at the speaker box, then drove forward to the payment window. When Wood reached the pickup window, the employee handed him his food order. But there was a problem. The bag was just out of his reach. Rather than opening his door and stepping out, Wood chose to remain seated while extending his upper body out of the driver's side window. Security camera footage would later...
He should have watched this video, bro, because if he watched this video, he would have known not to do that.
...show him stretching his arm toward the bag, fingers outstretched, as the employee tried to close the gap. What happened next occurred in mere seconds. As Wood leaned further out, his foot apparently slipped off the brake pedal. The car was still in drive with the engine running. Witnesses reported seeing the vehicle suddenly lurch backward in an arc. Before Wood could pull himself back inside, his car slammed into a tree situated near the drive-thru lane. The impact caught him between the driver's door and the tree trunk.
This dude was in reverse. So he pulled up to the window and then he was like, oh snap, I'm not that close. So he put it in reverse and then tried grabbing it. Grabbed it. Oh, I can't grab it. He reaches out. He gets off the brake. So then he starts going in reverse and he's hanging out the window and then boom, gets smashed in between a tree. Oh my God.
The collision immediately compressed Wood's torso, head, neck, and legs.
Oh my God.
Bystanders rushed to help, but the position of the vehicle made it nearly impossible to free him quickly.
Bro, I would have.
Wood was conscious for the first moments after impact, gasping for breath as the pressure on his chest increased. Employees and customers tried desperately to move the car, but without equipment, they could not generate enough force. Emergency responders arrived within 6 minutes, but found Wood unresponsive at the scene. Despite their efforts to extract him and begin life-saving measures.
What the hell is that, bro? You trying to put toilet paper on him? Okay, yeah, I'm never going to drive through. What's up, dummies? So I was just on YouTube and I saw this video right here. It says, you had one job. Apparently, this is going to be a bunch of different fails. Like, look at this. They put cheese on the side of the burger. That's so annoying. We're going to look at a bunch of people who literally had one job and they still messed it up. So this is an old Apple mouse, like the mouse you use for your damn computer or whatever. They put the charging port on the bottom. What? So you can't use it while charging? That's so stupid. What is this? There's a bunch of bananas. The price tag says long yellow things, 78 cents a pound. They called these long yellow things? Who the hell was in charge of this? How do you not know what a banana is? Are you 2 years old? Oh, this is so dumb. How do you mess this up? This is a Mario Kart, like, cool thing for these kids to ride around. they have the M upside down. It's supposed to be like this. Mario, not Wario. Come on. Imagine you love Mario so much and you get this for Christmas and you're like, you get this shit from Temu? Oh my God, that's so stupid. They're selling a picture frame that says my dog and they put a picture of a cat in there and they're trying to sell it for 25 bucks? Yeah, right. Oh, that's so frustrating, bro. How do you mess up one tile? This is some floor. They messed up one tile. If I saw something like this in person, I think I'd freak out. Okay, so we got people shopping. Oh my God, I just noticed it. Why does she have every single bucket? This is how it's supposed to look. You're supposed to take one bucket. This lady took the whole like section of buckets. That's not how that works. Okay, so we have a billboard or whatever. It's like a sausage billboard, but on the other side of it, there's a guy. Oh my, dude, they had to have done this on purpose. There's no way they didn't think of this. It's literally, oh, that's disgusting. So they were doing a news interview or whatever. They were interviewing this lady, but they wanted to blur her face. And in the next clip, they blurred this guy's face, but this lady from the last clip is literally, bro, how do you mess that up? Oh my gosh, there's a bunch of balls in this case. Pause. One of them is messed up. I don't know why it always irks me when one thing is messed up out of all of it. Like if you go back to that floor thing, dude, why couldn't you just make the floor straight? Why is there one ball in here that's messed up? Somebody's got to fix that, bro. This area is under constant video surveillance, but the camera's literally pointing towards the wall. How does that happen, bro? They still have the damn price tag on the bottom of the camera. They probably bought this from Temu, or whoever set this up has no idea what the hell they're doing. There's even a hole in the ceiling. This is probably at like a busted ass school or something. What the hell is wrong with this toilet paper roll? I mean, other than it looking like it's pink, why is there another, what? There's only supposed to be one like circular thing in there. Why is there another one lodged in here? Is toilet paper made by like a bunch of people in factories? Do they get to mess with it? Or is it like robots and machines? I don't know. Somebody probably did this as a joke or something. This guy was just walking one day and he saw this. Oh my God. That is bad. How do you mess that? What? Literally, all you have to do is rotate it a little and it'll be even. How do you mess? That's just so stupid. Yep, this is the picture from the thumbnail. This is horrible. How do you do? Okay, if anybody works at McDonald's watching this, let me know how this is even possible. Why would you even serve something like this? Do you just throw the cheese? I just realized this isn't even a burger. This is a filet-o-fish. Who the hell puts cheese on a fish sandwich? Oh God, this is somebody's soccer field at their school or whatever. Look at how dumb this is. First off, the goal looks like it's made of a bunch of straws. That looks like just crap. There's no net. It's so close to the wall. But look, this is the middle of the court. Why is the goal to the left? What? Whoever designed this, they need to be fired. They need to be put down too. What the hell? Okay, we got a yearbook right here. We got Matt Caberline. Okay, we got Kimberly Kinsley. Nice. We got Lori Klopp. Okay, we got Teresa Kennedy. You're telling me that's Teresa? I'm not gonna lie. I've never seen somebody who looks like that that's named Teresa. How do you mess up a yearbook photo? Are you serious, bro? There's a bunch of flooding around. And then the drain's right here and the water's just not going in the drain because the drain's higher up. Why would you install a drain on a higher part? Oh my God, even I'm stupid and I realize how dumb this is. Okay, so this takes place in some sort of hotel. It looks really nice. They got a concierge desk with an apple, nice. This is the lemon water machine. That's so stupid. There's literally full lemons just sitting in the water. What type of lemon water is that? You're supposed to get the lemon juices. I bet somebody's boss was like, okay, you gotta go make the lemon water today. And they were like, okay, bet. They just grabbed some lemons, threw it in there, didn't even bother. Bro, that employee doesn't give a damn. Please ride safely. This looks like it's taken in some sort of like elevator or something, but look, how do you mess this up? Oh my God, this one's supposed to be right here. This one's supposed to, dude. People who set this stuff up, they don't give a damn. I'm not gonna lie. Okay, we got some sort of stuffed animal. It's a toucan, but he has another one poking out from his... So this is his beak, but he has another beak coming from his head. This looks so weird. How do you give a bird two beaks? Oh God. Okay, we got some corn right here. Watermelon. What? How do you put a watermelon label on corn? It's not even the same. Like, okay, I can forgive the guy from earlier in the video where he put long yellow things because maybe he forgot the name of a banana. How do you mix up a watermelon and corn? It's different colors. It's a fruit and a vegetable, and it's a different size. A watermelon's big as hell. I think this is the address of the place who messed this up. Compare Foods at 1883 Madison Street, QNS, whatever that is. Hey, remind me never to go there ever, because they don't know what the hell they're doing. What the hell? How do you mess up a sign? How do you mess up a street sign? Why is it upside down? Okay, we got some mannequins wearing some nice swimsuits, and then we got the baby mannequin. What the... Bro, did you guys just run out of money all of a sudden and you couldn't buy a nice baby mannequin? Like, these mannequins probably cost like $200 to $300 probably. This one costs like maybe $5. Come on now. I like how there's a lady sitting in the back of the store just like she hates her job. Maybe you should invest in a new mannequin. Go do something with your life. Quit sitting around. Oh my God, that's so stupid. There's a water fountain, and when you activate it, it shoots over the hole. Believe it or not, this actually happened to me once. I was in Los Angeles. I think I was at like a hotel with my friend, and I went to one of these vending machine? Am I hungry? Am I fat? I went to a water fountain like this, and I started spraying it. Like, I put my head down, right? It was right here. I put my head down, and I pushed it, and it went over my head. I'm not kidding. It was the highest powered water machine ever. Okay, that's really stupid. Who put this door handle on? How are you supposed to get in and out? How do you mess something up like that? All right, so we're at some type of store. They have the toothbrushes and... Oh, I get it. Bro! This says toothpaste, and you have 1,000 toothbrushes. This says toothbrushes, and you have every single stock of toothpaste possible. How do you mess that up? I think these stores are hiring people who do not know how to read. Because, like, going back to that corn thing, that was not watermelon, that was corn. And the yellow long thingies, how do you not know what a banana is? I think these stores, like Walmart and Kroger and like all these grocery stores, I think they're just dumb. Oh God, this is bad. This is inside somebody's house. Let me know if you see it. It's pretty hard to notice it at first, but oh my Lord. The pillar, look, the corner of the room doesn't line up with the corner of the ceiling. Ah, that's so bad. I feel like if I lived there, I would see that every single day and it would tweak me out. I'd probably get a pickaxe and start chipping at it to make it more even. That's bad. What? Somebody's shower head broke, so they put a damn bottle over the... Dude, that's ghetto. Wait, what is this? There's a coat hanger. Oh my... It's upside down. If you put your coat on there, it's gonna slide off because it's... That's so stupid. How do you not notice that? The first time you put your coat, it falls down. You grab it and you put it back on, it keeps falling down. You wanna know why it keeps falling down? Because you're stupid, you put it on wrong. That is the dumbest bench I've ever seen. Why would you put the bench? Oh, this is so stupid. This is a walkway right here. You see this, like this brick? This is like supposed to be a public walkway or whatever. And the bench is for people who get tired. Why is the bench on the other side of the damn fence? Come on. And why is there barbed wire on this fence? I guess they don't want people climbing the fence to sit on the bench because, Jesus, barbed wire? Oh, okay, this is the dumbest. How do you... How? This is even more funny when you realize that there's more packages over here that say strawberries and there's actually strawberries in it. So it's not like they just messed up the whole batch. They messed up a couple of them and they just decided to keep them in the box. What? Oh, that's so annoying. This dude went to Taco Bell and he got one of those Doritos tacos and there's nothing inside the shell. They threw it, they literally missed the whole taco, bro. I hate Taco Bell workers. I swear, bro. I haven't been to Taco Bell in like 8 months. Thank God. Thankfully, I haven't had to go there. But dude, whenever I did go there before, it's like you order a soft taco and you get the taco and it's like they got your order over the headset. They were like, okay, you want a soft taco? Okay. And they throw it out the window. They get the food done so quick, and this is why. They're just throwing stuff together. They don't care about you. If you want to see me react to more stupid people, click right here, and if you don't want to watch that, then leave. Bye. What's up, dummies? Today we're about to react to the most tragic YouTuber deaths ever. Look at this thumbnail. Somebody apparently died by vlogging because they got their camera stuck in their head, and then the other guy was doing like a challenge. I don't even know what the hell that is, but we're about to see the craziest YouTuber deaths of all time. Tune in. This is crazy.
June 30th, 2022, a video titled So Long Nerds appeared on the Technoblade YouTube channel. Alexander, known to over 10 million subscribers as Technoblade, was a Minecraft player renowned for his strategic...
Okay, yeah, I heard of him plenty of times. I've heard of a lot of people making fun of his death and stuff and using him for views. I never really watched Technoblade's video. I know he was like a Minecraft YouTuber, but let's see how he died. This is gonna be
gameplay
crazy.
and dry humor. The video, narrated by his father, revealed that Alexander had died at 23 after an 8-month battle with stage 4 sarcoma. The cancer had first manifested as pain in his right arm in July 2021. Initially dismissed as repetitive stress from gaming, the discomfort persisted until a medical scan revealed a malignant tumor. By the time of diagnosis, the cancer had already metastasized throughout his body. Aggressive chemotherapy followed, but the sarcoma continued spreading to his lungs and bones. In his final months, Alexander crafted one last message for his audience, writing it from his hospice bed as opioids barely managed his pain. His father later explained that in Alexander's final days, the young man lost motor function and struggled to speak as the disease attacked his central nervous system. His breathing became increasingly labored until, surrounded by family, Alexander's body finally surrendered to the cancer that had systematically destroyed it from within.
Okay, so basically, Technoblade, he felt some pain in his arm, but he thought it was because he was just like playing Minecraft hell. Like, you know, like people who play Minecraft, they'd be like spam clicking, they'd be like, grrr, like trying to kill the enemies in Minecraft and stuff. He thought his arm pain was from the freaking Minecraft gaming too much, but it was actually cancer, bro. This literally goes to show, if you feel any pain in your body or you feel anything weird at all, at least go to the doctor. See, me, I don't really have any pain. Like, I feel pretty good. I could like do a backflip right now. Actually, I probably can't do a backflip because whatever. If you feel any pain, bro, at least talk to somebody because you never know. You might have like cancer or something. All right, let's see the next YouTuber.
In March 2012, the animation community lost one of its pioneering voices when Ed Gould died at just 23 years old. The creator of Ed's World had built a
Why does everybody keep dying at 23 years old, bro? What's up with that?
Following with his quirky, colorful cartoons that blended humor with autobiographical elements. What many of his fans didn't realize was that behind the cheerful animations, Ed had been fighting leukemia for 6 years. The blood cancer had progressed slowly at first, allowing him to continue creating between treatments. Even as his condition worsened, Ed refused to step away from his work. Hospital staff would find him sketching from his bed, IV lines running into his...
So this YouTuber was like an animation YouTuber, but he didn't tell anyone he had cancer, but he had cancer the whole time. See, most people would be like, I got cancer, and he posts a video, they get millions of views, they get hella money. But this guy didn't care, bro. He just cared about his videos. That's actually, shout out to him. That's cool.
His friends reported that he would joke about his illness, turning pain into comedy even as his body weakened. By early 2012, the leukemia had advanced beyond treatment. His bone marrow was failing, unable to produce the cells needed to fight infection or carry oxygen. On March 25th, surrounded by friends and family, Ed Gould drew his final breath. The animation he'd been working on remained unfinished on his tablet beside him. Christina Grimmie. On June 10th, 2016, 22-year-old singer and YouTuber Christina Grimmie had...
What's up with all these 22 and 23-year-olds? What are they trying to say, bro?
Just finished performing at the Plaza Live in Orlando,
That's 3 in a row!
Known for her powerful vocals and covers that had earned her millions of subscribers, Christina always made time to meet fans after shows.
Oh my God, bro. Don't tell me she's going to do a meet and greet with one of her fans and the fans going to kill her.
That night, she sat at a merchandise table, signing autographs and taking photos with a line of admirers. At approximately 10:24 p.m., a 27-year-old man named Kevin James Loibel approached the table. Christina, seeing another fan, smiled and opened her arms for a hug. In that moment, Loibel pulled out a 9mm handgun and fired 4 shots at point-blank range. 2 bullets struck her in the chest, 1 in the head. Her brother Marcus immediately tackled the shooter, but Loibel broke free just long enough to turn the gun on himself, firing a single fatal shot. Chaos erupted as fans scattered. Christina lay bleeding on the venue floor, still breathing but unconscious. Paramedics rushed her to Orlando Regional Medical Center, where doctors fought to stabilize her, but the damage was catastrophic. At 11:51 p.m., Christina Grimmie was pronounced dead.
I'm never doing a meet and greet ever, bro. Y'all gonna pull a pistol. I know y'all.
On December 10th, 2017, Charles Marvin Green Jr., known to millions as the explosive Angry Grandpa...
Oh, I know Angry Grandpa. I'm gonna put a picture of him on the screen right now. I know Angry Grandpa. Wait, he died? What? He died from being too angry. He died from rage.
His final labored breath. The 67-year-old YouTube sensation had...
67?
Built a following of over 3.4 million subscribers with his volatile reactions and destructive outbursts. What many viewers didn't see was his years-long battle with multiple health issues. Green's cirrhosis had steadily deteriorated his liver function, causing toxic buildup in his bloodstream. His heart, already weakened from previous cardiac events, struggled under the strain. In his final weeks, fluid accumulated in his lungs and extremities. His son Michael, who had filmed his father's antics for years, documented a different side as the elder Green's skin took on a yellowish hue and his breathing became more strained. That Sunday morning, Green was surrounded by his children in his North Charleston home. His body, once animated with rage for the camera, now barely moved as organs systematically shut down. At 4:48 p.m., Green's heart finally stopped beating. The man whose temper seemed unstoppable had been silenced not by choice, but by the body he had neglected. Total Biscuit. On May 24th, 2018, John Bain, known...
This guy's name is Total Biscuit. Bro, that's the hungriest dude on the planet.
Online as Total Biscuit, lost
DJ
his final
loves
battle
biscuits.
against cancer. The 33-year-old British game...
Dude, this is some OG knowledge. I almost named my channel DJ Loves Biscuit. I'm serious.
Gaming critic had built his reputation on unflinching honesty and consumer advocacy. In April 2014, Bain announced his diagnosis of bowel cancer. Initially given hope, the disease had already silently spread. By October 2015, doctors discovered metastatic lesions in his liver. The cancer was now stage 4, considered terminal. Still, Bain continued creating content, documenting his treatments with characteristic frankness. His body weakened as chemotherapy ravaged his immune system. The cancer continued its methodical invasion, spreading to his spine and ribs. In early 2018, Bain revealed that chemotherapy was no longer effective. His liver function deteriorated rapidly, causing jaundice and extreme fatigue. On May 22nd, he entered a hepatic coma as toxins. His failing liver couldn't filter reached his brain. His wife Jenna stayed beside him as his breathing became irregular. At 1:49 a.m., John Bain's fight ended.
I don't
The
know
voice that
Total
had demanded
Biscuit.
better from the gaming industry fell silent, leaving only echoes across the platforms he once critiqued. Grant Thompson. On July 29, 2019, Grant Thompson took his paramotor into the skies above Hurricane, Utah. The 38-year-old creator of the King of Random YouTube channel, with over 12 million subscribers, had only recently developed a passion for paramotoring. Essentially,
Oh, that's that one stuff where you basically jump off of a cliff or whatever, but you have it's like a small helicopter on your back. That's kind of cool.
parachuting with a motor-driven propeller strapped to your back.
Bro.
That evening, Thompson told his family he'd be gone for about an hour.
He got 4 kids and a wife. His wife's hairline is so pushed back.
When darkness fell and he hadn't returned, his wife called authorities. His phone's GPS coordinates led search teams to a remote area near Sand Hollow State Park. Just after midnight, rescuers spotted wreckage from the air. Thompson's paramotor had crashed into the side of a rocky hill. The impact was catastrophic. Investigators found that Thompson had collided with the terrain at high speed, likely after experiencing a sudden equipment malfunction or unexpected wind condition. The force crushed his chest cavity and caused massive internal trauma. Medical examiners determined death was instantaneous from blunt force injuries. The man who had taught millions how to safely conduct science experiments and build weekend projects had no time to deploy his emergency parachute. His body was recovered as dawn broke over the desert landscape he'd been admiring just hours before. Josh Newman. On February 3rd, 2022, a small Cessna aircraft disappeared. A filmmaker and professional skateboarder known for his breathtaking downhill skateboarding videos that had earned him over...
I've seen some of those videos before where people go down the hill super fast on a skateboard. That's crazy. They got balls. They got huge, stinky, smelly hanging balls.
1.2 million subscribers. What? Newman was in Iceland shooting promotional content when he boarded the sightseeing flight alongside pilot
he got on a plane?
and 2 other passengers. The plane took off at 3:46 p.m. in clear conditions. At 5:05 p.m., radar contact was lost. When the aircraft failed to return, Icelandic Coast Guard launched search operations immediately. For 3 days, teams scoured the frigid waters. On February 6th, sonar equipment detected wreckage 37 meters below the surface. Divers confirmed the plane had hit the water at high speed, disintegrating upon impact. The cabin had completely collapsed, subjecting all passengers to catastrophic force. Recovery teams found Newman's body still strapped to his seat. Autopsy revealed he suffered massive trauma to his head and chest from the impact. The water in his lungs indicated he may have survived the initial crash for brief moments before succumbing to the freezing water.
Breathing the water.
Oh my God. On October 1st, 2015, 13-year-old Caleb Logan collapsed suddenly in his family home in Maryland. Known to millions of viewers as the charming, witty son on the Bertaley YouTube channel, Caleb had spent nearly half his life in front of cameras that documented his family's everyday moments. What the cameras never captured, what no one could see, was the silent killer developing within his chest. Medical examiners would later determine that Caleb suffered from hypertrophic cardiomyopathy, a condition where the heart muscle thickens abnormally. The disease shows no external symptoms in many cases, leaving those affected completely unaware of the danger. That evening, Caleb had been playing with his sisters when he suddenly clutched his chest. His parents rushed to his side as he struggled to breathe. His heart, its walls fatally thickened, had begun to fail. Blood backed up in his chambers as the muscle struggled to pump effectively. Despite frantic CPR attempts from his father and then paramedics, oxygen couldn't reach his brain. Within minutes, the boy who grew up in front of millions died before he could even understand what was happening to him. Desert Drifter. On January 31st, 2025, Andrew Cross was driving home from filming a sunset time-lapse in Arizona's Sonoran Desert. The 29-year-old, known to his 750,000 subscribers as Desert Drifter, had built his channel around breathtaking landscape photography.
Don't tell me he's gonna go to the desert and like fall off of a cliff, bro. I've seen this too many times, bro. I don't want to hear about a guy falling off a cliff.
Wilderness survival tips. At 8:42 p.m., as he waited at a red light on the outskirts of Phoenix, a pickup truck traveling at approximately 87 miles per hour slammed into the rear of his vehicle. The impact propelled Cross's car into the intersection where it was struck again by crossing traffic. First responders found him unconscious, but breathing, trapped in the crushed metal frame. At Banner University Medical Center, doctors discovered severe hemorrhaging in Cross's brain. The impact had caused his brain to violently strike the inside of his skull, tearing blood vessels and causing critical swelling. For 5 weeks, Cross remained on ventilator support as his brain activity steadily declined. Multiple EEG tests showed minimal electrical activity. On March 4th, with Cross showing no signs of neurological recovery, his family made the decision to withdraw life support. At 3:17 p.m., surrounded by parents and siblings, the ventilator was turned off.
So that's crazy, bro. He was just driving and he got hit by a car and then another car hit him. Like, that's crazy. You just never know in life. Like, you could just be driving, hanging out, boom!
Andrew Cross took 10 final breaths before his damaged brain could no longer signal his lungs to continue. Comic Storian. On February 12th, 2025, Ben Potter...
2025? That was like 3 months ago! Whoa, I gotta hear about this.
Sedan veered off Interstate 25 near Denver, Colorado. The 40-year-old former soldier,
Ben
known to millions
Potter
as Comic Storian, had built his channel by narrating comic book stories with his distinctive baritone voice. Potter was returning from a convention when witnesses reported his car suddenly swerving at 68 miles per hour. The vehicle struck a guardrail, went airborne, and flipped 6 times before coming to rest in a drainage ditch. First responders found Potter partially ejected from the driver's side window. Though conscious when paramedics arrived, he couldn't feel anything below his neck. The impact had severed his spinal cord between the C2 and C3 vertebrae, causing immediate quadriplegia.
You might as well just die. If you just can't move any muscles, you can only like you can't imagine just not feeling anything, bro. Oh my god.
As medics worked to stabilize him, a secondary hemorrhage began in his spinal column. Blood pressure dropped rapidly as Potter went into hypovolemic shock. The ambulance was still 14 minutes from the trauma center when his heart stopped beating. Paramedics performed CPR continuously but couldn't restore circulation. By the time they reached University Hospital, Potter's brain had been without oxygen for nearly 20 minutes. At 5:42 p.m., doctors pronounced him dead, the voice that had brought countless superhero stories to life silenced by a single moment of lost control. If you want to...
so he was just driving and then he like must have hit hit a little squirrel or hit like a stick or something. Boom, 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 and then he died. Damn. What's up, dummies? We're about to react to how every legendary YouTuber died. We're gonna find out how Technoblade died. We're gonna find out how Angry Grandpa died. And I don't even know this lady, but apparently this old lady named Linja or whatever, she looks kind of nice. She died too. We're gonna find out about legendary YouTubers who passed away. This is gonna be sad. Shout out to these guys. Let's learn about him.
Technoblade.
All right, Technoblade. We're starting off with Technoblade. I didn't even know he looked like this. Did y'all know he looked like this? I only saw his Minecraft character before, so let's learn about what happened to him. Man, this is gonna be sad, man.
Technoblade was not just a YouTuber. He was a true Minecraft legend.
Really?
Alexander launched his YouTube channel, Technoblade, in 2013 at the young age of 14.
Bro, he started at 14 years old. That's pretty much the age I started, bro. I'm pretty sure he died like a few years ago. I'm not sure what happened. I think he had cancer or something, but man, this is just real sad. But let's learn about him because I never watched him. I bet you guys definitely watched him, but I didn't, so I want to learn about this.
He quickly became famous for his character, Crowned Pig, and humorous gameplay on Hypixel and Dream SMP. That earned him over 10 million subscribers at that time, making him one of the most influential gaming YouTubers of his generation.
So he was like one of the biggest Minecraft YouTubers?
His iconic catchphrase, Technoblade never dies, became more than a meme. It was a testament to his skill.
Wait, he started the thing named Technoblade, like he started the saying Technoblade never dies? That is crazy to think about how he would always say Technoblade never dies in his videos and then he just... Wow, bro.
This was most famously proven when Mr. Beast orchestrated the ultimate $100,000 duel, challenging Technoblade versus Dream. In a battle of titans, Technoblade emerged victorious,
he beat
solidifying
Dream.
his reputation as the undisputed king of combat.
So he was the king of Minecraft fighting, and then apparently in June 2021, that's when it started to go.
However, in June of 2021, the king suddenly disappeared from the internet, leaving the fans worried. The silence was broken in August with a video explaining his absence. Alex revealed that what he initially thought was repetitive strain injury from gaming was actually a painful lump in his right arm.
Oh, he had a tumor in his arm. He thought it was from gaming because, like, when you're playing Minecraft, bro, you be moving that mouse like you be clicking so fast and stuff. But, like, dang, bro.
Diagnosis was a rare and malignant sarcoma.
What is
The
that?
progression of the disease was rapid and brutal. By the time it was found, the cancer had already spread to his lungs
Oh.
and bones. Yet,
Oh.
he confronted his mortality with his signature humor, often joking
Really?
about his condition to comfort his worried fan base rather than asking for pity.
Wow.
Despite aggressive chemotherapy, the cancer attacked his central nervous system, and his body eventually gave out. June
Man.
30th, 2022, surrounded by his family, he passed away.
Rest in peace to Technoblade,
The
bro.
announcement of his death came with the final video titled, "So Long, Nerds."
Bro, he titled his final video, "So Long, Nerds." See, this is cool. That's why I like Technoblade, bro, because he, even though he was going through something that a lot of people can't really go through, he was just like chill about it. He was just cool.
In this heartbreaking upload, which has since amassed over 122 million
Wow.
views, his father read Alex's final words. While Alexander is gone, his impact on the community is permanent. From
Man,
his
rest
millions
in
of
peace.
fans, Technoblade
Rest in
never
peace to
dies.
Technoblade, bro. Let's go to the next
Cooking
one.
with Linja.
Cooking with Linja, bro. This is an old lady who had a cooking channel. No! Why did she die? Oh, man, I can already tell she's a nice girl. Just look at her.
Lynn Yamada Davis, widely known as Cooking with Linja, was a popular American YouTuber and cooking content creator. Her
Man.
YouTube channel, Cooking with Linja, gained 14 million
14.
followers across YouTube, where she was known for short-form cooking videos, fast edits, and humor. In 2019, Lynn publicly revealed that she had been diagnosed with throat cancer, which caused her voice to change. In 2021, she announced that she had been diagnosed with esophageal cancer.
Oh.
Despite undergoing treatment, including surgery and chemotherapy, she continued creating content and regularly appeared in videos alongside her son.
Really,
Tim.
bro? She would make videos even though she had throat cancer, so her voice was different? That'd be insane. That's like me making videos and then my voice just changes so much and you guys know I have cancer. Like, that would be sad, bro.
Throughout 2023, Lynn's health gradually declined.
Dang, bro. So she
While
just
she
kept
appeared less
making
frequently
videos?
on her camera, her family continued to share her condition to connect with her audience. On New Year's Day 2024, Lynn passed away peacefully as the cancer returned.
Oh, man.
Surrounded by her loved ones, on January 9th, her family held a small funeral attended by close friends and family members.
Rest in peace, bro. All right, here's the
Angry
next
Grandpa.
one. Angry Grandpa, bro. I used to watch some of his stuff back in the day. I forgot that he died. He used to be so mad. Like, they would take him to, like, McDonald's or something. He'd be like, I don't want McDonald's. Like, this guy was the angriest grandpa ever, but I know he was so awesome, though. Oh,
Charles
man.
Marvin Green Jr., widely known as Angry Grandpa, was a pioneer of the react and reality comedy genres on YouTube. With over 4.7 million.
Dude, see, 4 million subscribers doesn't seem like a lot compared to the other people, but this was back when YouTube didn't even have that many people. 4 million subscribers was like insane. Like now, if you have 10 million, it's like pretty good. But back then, if you had 4 million, it was like, if you had 1 million like 5 years ago, it was like, oh my God.
Subscribers, he became an internet sensation not just for his signature angry sketches, but for his heartwarming redemptive arc of his life. His son, Michael Green, kid behind a camera, documented their journey from poverty to success, famously filming the moment he used YouTube earnings to buy his father a house and his dream 1955 Chevy Bel Air.
That's nice.
For years, he suffered from type 2 diabetes and cellulitis, conditions that had already significantly weakened his immune system. Throughout his battle, the Green family maintained using vlogs to keep the community informed. Fans watched as the once boisterous patriarch grew frail, yet he continued to film messages of gratitude from his bed.
Yeah, that's the sad part. Like, this guy, he was like the angriest grandpa. He would be screaming like, ah, ah. And then eventually, over time, he stopped screaming as much. He stopped moving as much. And people could tell that something was up. People could tell that he was getting older. And it was just sad because he used to be so, ah, and then he just couldn't do it anymore.
In late 2017, Green's body began to shut down once more. He suffered from reoccurring infections and systematic inflammation that his organs could no longer filter. On December 10th, 2017, Charles Green passed away at his home in Somerville, South Carolina, at the age of 67. His son, Michael, announced the news in a tearful video titled R.I.P. Angry Grandpa, which became one of the most watched tributes in YouTube history.
Wow.
Comicstorian.
Okay, who's this guy? This guy looks young, bro. Everybody so far has been like old, except for Technoblade. He was young. Who's this guy? He looks healthy, bro. What happened? What?
Ben Potter was the mastermind behind Comicstorian, a YouTube powerhouse with over 3.1 million subscribers and a staggering 1.1 billion total views.
Okay.
He converted thousands of comic intros, audio dramas, with more than 4,000 videos produced. Ben Potter helped global audiences get
What
closer
happened
to
to him?
massive publishers like Marvel and DC. On the morning of June 8th, 2024,
This was recent.
Ben Potter was driving his Toyota 4Runner
Oh,
southbound on
no.
Interstate 25.
No, not a crap. All three of the last people have been like natural causes. Not really natural, but like cancer and then like getting older. This is a car.
At approximately 9:19 a.m.,
9 in the morning?
his vehicle suddenly veered off the right side of the highway. The SUV traveled across the frontage road and overturned multiple times before finally coming to rest on its
Oh
roof.
my gosh.
Emergency responders arrived shortly after. Although Ben Potter was wearing his seatbelt and the vehicle's safety system deployed, Ben Potter died at the scene. He was 40 years old. To this day, the cause of his accident remains a mystery.
Really?
Following his death,
They don't know what happened to him? He was just driving and then he veered off the road and then he just,
wife Nathalie and the Comicstorian production team announced their decision to continue operating the channel. They stated that maintaining Comicstorian was a way to honor Ben Potter's passion for comics and the years he dedicated to building the channel.
Wow.
Total Biscuit.
Okay, Total Biscuit. Who's this? I feel like I've heard of this guy. Maybe back in the day, I used to watch him. I don't know. I didn't know he died.
John Bain, widely known online as Total Biscuit, was one of the most influential voices in PC game criticism. As the cynical Brit, his consumer-first approach had over 2.2 million subscribers between 2010 and 2017.
Yeah, that's a lot of subscribers back then. In 2017, if you had 2 million subscribers, you were like one of the top.
In April of 2014, Bain announced to his followers on Twitter that a precarious mass had been found in his bowel. During earlier treatment, he remained defiant, continuing his rigorous podcasting and video schedule while undergoing aggressive chemotherapy and radiation.
Wow.
In February of 2015, the primary tumor was surgically removed. By October of that year, Bain revealed the grim update. The cancer had metastasized to his liver and was deemed inoperable. He responded to his fans with the characteristic bluntness, vowing to outlive the prognosis. By late 2017, Bain's health deteriorated rapidly as the cancer continued to metastasize, leading to organ failure. On May 24, 2018, he passed away peacefully at his home, surrounded by loved ones. His death triggered a massive global reaction. Blizzard Entertainment immortalized him as
Man,
Page
rest
was
in peace
filled
to
with
Total
tributes.
Biscuit, bro.
Ed Gould.
Ed Gould. This guy looks... Bro, what is going on, bro? Hopefully it wasn't no cancer or nothing, because it keeps happening.
Ed Gould was the British animator and
Now, I don't want it to be a car crash, but I'm just saying, like...
creator of Ed's World.
I'm tired of hearing
a
about
YouTube
this
animation
cancer
series
stuff,
that later
bro.
surpassed.
This is why we need to eat better food. We need to go outside. We need to stop putting these chemicals on our skin. We need to stop... Like, we need to become healthier again. We need to become more natural, because these cancer is not natural until you put all this nasty stuff in and on your body, bro. And move around, bro. Y'all need to walk. Stop sitting on your butt all day.
4.47 million subscribers. In 2006, at just 17 years old, Ed Gould was diagnosed with acute lymphoblastic leukemia.
Oh
a
my
fast-growing
God.
cancer.
What's wrong with these YouTubers getting cancer, bro? I don't even want to hear about this, bro. Shout out to Ed Gould, but I don't even want to hear about how he got, like, I don't...
swimming incident.
Oh my God, I know about this. The ice swimming incident. Oh my gosh, this is insane. Of course he saved this for the end of the video. Oh man.
This stands among the most haunting and heartbreaking deaths ever witnessed in YouTube history.
For sure.
Tor Eckhoff, born in 1964 in Sandefjord, Norway, was the creator behind the channel Apator, known for his daring and humorous ice swimming videos that earned him over 1.2 million subscribers.
I remember
on YouTube.
this.
His content was dangerous and funny, diving into freezing lakes,
Yep.
skating over thin ice.
I think I reacted to something like this before, but yeah, his channel was basically him jumping into freezing cold water and he wouldn't even care. It was like an old guy, an old Russian guy. Like he just had like, you know, balls, dude. He just didn't care about anything. Nothing scared him.
Roasting vodka
And then I
in the
think
snow.
one day he just...
Despite the risk, his fans adored his authenticity and fearless spirit. On November 26,
That's a day after my birthday, bro.
2021, at Jakobsdam, a frozen lake west of Kongsberg, alone on the ice, Tor fell through a hole he had cut for his video. The shock of the icy plunge was immediate. His breath shortened as he tried to pull himself out. A passerby heard faint cries for help and alerted emergency services.
God.
Divers quickly arrived, pulled him from the icy water, and performed CPR before airlifting him to Yildale University Hospital. Despite hours of resuscitation attempts, Tor passed away on November 27th due
man.
to severe hypothermia and secondary drowning.
The thing about that is like he had cut out a hole in the ice because he was going to make a video. He had his camera all set up ready to make a video and he accidentally slipped in it. He wasn't ready and he died, bro.
Police confirmed there was no foul play and that he had been alone during the time of the accident.
Oh.
His final video, I am not dead. I am 57 today.
That's the creepy part. His final video he ever uploaded is titled, I'm Not Dead.
Uploaded just 5 days before his death, becoming a haunting farewell. Fans flooded the comments with tributes from around the world.
He literally posted a video 5 days before he died, and he said, I'm not dead, guys, because people were asking, where have you gone? Are you dead yet? Bro, oh my gosh. Rest in peace to all these YouTubers. What's up, dummies? We're about to react to one of the craziest videos I think I'll ever react to. It says the worst serial killers who are still on the loose. It's gonna show us 6 different serial killers. Look at this. Who is this guy? The Duder? The Duty Poopy Doodler? Oh, it says Doodler. I'm tripping. This guy's on the loose. He's a serial killer. We're gonna find out about people who are literally on the loose. If you've seen these people before.
Pedro Lopez.
Pedro
Alonso Lopez, a tall man with a peculiar appearance, a large nose, no upper front teeth, and
What's wrong with a big nose? Wait, no upper front teeth? Who the hell has no top teeth but bottom teeth? What if you were like in Walmart and you saw someone that was just like, what's up, dog? Like no, oh my God, that'd be horrible.
Was born in Colombia during a scary time full of fighting between political groups that people called La Violencia, or the violence. His father got killed in a surprise attack just months before the birth while trying to protect a nearby place. So his mother had to raise Pedro and his many brothers and sisters all by
Okay,
herself.
so this guy grew up without a dad. That's why he probably became a serial killer. But let's see how he's still on the loose. That's the main reason I want to see this video. These people are still on the loose. They haven't even been found. This is so creepy, dude. I love unsolved mysteries and stuff like this.
He said she forced him out of the house when he was only 8 after she caught him touching his sister.
What the oh my God. Okay. When I first heard that, I was like, why did his mom force him to leave at 8 years old? That's like so early. Oh, he was messing around.
Walking the streets alone. And during that tough time, he was used many times, started doing drugs, and had problems with the law when police caught him stealing a car, which led to him doing 7 years in prison only 2 days after arriving there. 4 other prisoners are him, but he kept quiet about it and instead built a knife from random scraps to kill 3 of them over the following 2 weeks, which prison leaders viewed as self-defense to protect.
So this guy got, like, his dad died when he was young, and then he was 8 years old and he got sent out, then he went to jail.
Protect his life, though they still added 2 extra years to his time. When he finally left prison, he began traveling across South America, and that's when he started his murders. He picked young girls as targets, killing them slowly, sometimes taking up to 15 minutes. Then, in Peru, local native people caught him attempting to kidnap a 9-year-old girl from her village. So they beat him severely, removed his clothes, and buried him in sand up to his neck.
Why didn't you just, like, eliminate him?
Pretending a slow death and even pouring syrup on him for ants to devour. But
pouring maple syrup on his head, bro? If someone did that to me, I'd be like, I love syrup.
An American missionary who spread religious teachings convinced them to hand him to police instead, and the authorities simply sent him out of the country to Ecuador without any charges.
What? He's just gonna keep, bro, he's murdered people. And
in Ecuador, he continued killing, and police noticed many girls disappearing, but assumed it involved human trafficking rather than murders. In 1980, though, he tried to take another child, but market leader Carolina Roman pursued and seized him, shouting that he sold kids while the crowd beat him and delivered him to police, who released him shortly after. April brought massive floods near Ambato that uncovered 4 strangled girls' bodies, pushing police to investigate seriously once more. And just 3 days later, Pedro approached a 12-year-old, but she informed her mother, which was incredibly Carolina Roman. She yelled, clutched him, and had merchants detain him until police arrived for a permanent arrest. He stayed silent initially under questioning, yet after weeks in a cell with an undercover officer acting as a fellow inmate, he confessed to over 100 killings in Ecuador alone, plus others in Colombia and Peru for a claimed total exceeding 300. He explained how he occasionally unearthed bodies for imaginary tea parties and stated his motive stemmed from losing his childhood innocence early, so he aimed to strip it from girls too. Police doubted him until he guided them to graves, revealing 53 bodies of girls aged 8 to 13 in a forest area. An Ambato court convicted him of 57 murders, imposing 16 years as Ecuador's maximum. Then,
bro, 16 years in prison for 57 murders?
he faced knife attacks from inmates, prompting extra guard protection, and despite pushes to extend his stay, good behavior earned him an early release in 1994.
What? What? Why? Okay, I'm never stepping foot in Ecuador. I'm never stepping foot in whatever the hell country. He got out of prison? You have to eliminate
He
this
labeled himself the man of the century in a chat, and police transported him secretly at night to Colombia's border, as they feared vigilantes, because victim families offered bounties up to $25,000 for his death. Upon arriving in Colombia without an initial warrant, they placed him under watch in a hotel. Later, a new warrant was issued for another murder, and while he was being transported by van, about 2,000 furious people ambushed the vehicle, forcing the authorities to detour to Bogota for safety. Examining doctors noted personality problems, but not enough mental illness for therapy, and by 1998, once deemed sane, he gained release on low bail of about
So how is he still on the loose? Did he end up escaping?
about $70 if he reported regularly and saw a therapist, but he fled immediately. From then, we just have unverified sightings in Ecuador, including a visit to his poor mother for cash that she refused, leading him to steal and sell her mattress and chair before vanishing.
Bro, he got out of prison, then he went to his mom's house and he was like, can I get some money? Even though he's like killed 300 people. And then he stole his mom's mattress and her chair and sold
The police issued warrants in 2002 for a new murder case that seemed similar to earlier ones, and they also investigated possible links in 2012, but none of those leads went anywhere.
So we don't know what happened to this guy. This is him? This is Pedro Lopez? Hold on. We still have like 4 more crazy cases, but dude, I gotta see what happened to him. Yeah, so this is him, Pedro Alonso Lopez. Look at this picture of him. This is the guy. These are some of his victims. Oh my gosh, bro. This guy is a weirdo, dog. And he's still on the loose? He was officially convicted of 110 different murders, but he claimed to have killed over 300, but they haven't been found. So he has been found. Like, they found 110 little girls. A bunch of rumors claim that he's living in Tolima Department, Colombia, as a homeless man in Bogota, or even that he was murdered after some of his relatives put a bounty on his head. What? So they don't know where this creepy guy is who's killed 300. This is a picture of him praying to God once he got released from prison in 1994. Dude, what? Wow. All right, let's see what else, crazy other people who are still on the loose.
The Freeway Phantom.
All right, the Freeway
On an ordinary
Phantom.
evening, a 13-year-old girl left her home in southeast Washington, D.C.
Oh, don't tell me it's gonna be another person who's killing little girls. What is it with little, bro? I love little girls, bro.
To buy groceries. She never came back. 6 days later, her body was found without shoes on a grassy hill.
Bro, this little girl went to go get groceries and she never came back. And then she was found without her shoes.
Beside I-295, behind St. Elizabeth's Hospital. She had been sexually assaulted and killed. No one knew it yet, but Carol was the first victim of a man who would soon be known as the Freeway Phantom. A few months later, a 16-year-old disappeared while walking to her summer job. Witnesses saw her getting into an old black car with a man driving, but no one got the license plate number. 11 days later, her body was found only 15 feet from where the first girl's body had been discovered.
Put a camera up or something, dude.
The killer had chosen almost the same spot, as if to taunt investigators. Again, she was fully dressed but missing her shoes. Then came 10-year-old...
Bro, the people are fully dressed when they're found. These girls are found fully dressed, but they don't have shoes on. What's wrong with this guy? Is he selling their shoes? Is he weird with feet? Come on.
Brenda
dude.
Faye Crockett. She went to the store and never came home. And that night, her family received 2 terrifying phone calls. Brenda was crying and saying a man had picked her up and that she was in a cab heading home. Then, in the second call, she asked, "Did my mother see me?" and said she was alone in a house with that white man. During that call, heavy footsteps could be heard in the background. Then she said, "I'll see you," and hung up. Hours later, a hitchhiker found her body. Police believe the phone calls were staged and that Brenda had been forced by her killer to make them in order to confuse investigators. Then, after yet another murder, the press gave the killer his name, the Freeway Phantom. The next victim was different in some ways, though 18-year-old Brenda Denise Woodard had dinner with a friend and caught a bus home around 11:30 p.m. The next morning, her body was found near the Baltimore-Washington Parkway.
Wait, so this is a random guy that goes by the name of the Freeway Phantom who has murdered multiple girls. And don't tell me he's still on the loose. I'm gonna kill it. I'm gonna
stabbed and strangled, but this time, she was still wearing her shoes, and inside her coat pocket was a note. It was written on a piece of paper torn from her school notebook. It said, "This is tantamount to my insensitivity to people, especially women. I will admit the others when you catch me if you can. Freeway Phantom." The word tantamount caught detectives' attention, as it was formal and not a word most people used. After this, almost a year passed, and then yet another victim was killed. Then, out of nowhere, the murders just stopped. The investigation pulled in every major law enforcement agency, DC Police, Maryland Police, and even the FBI. But it soon became one of the most frustrating unsolved
Bro, they can't find him? There's gotta be a way to find him, bro. Y'all suck.
cases. Files went missing, evidence was mishandled, and every promising lead fell apart.
Files went missing? Yo, somebody is on the inside.
Detectives interviewed hundreds of suspects, and one inmate even claimed to know who had committed one of the Freeway Phantom murders and shared details only the killer would know under the agreement of remaining unidentified. But when a politician told the story to the press, the inmate shut down and refused to talk again. Years later, suspicion fell on a man named Robert Elwood Askins, who had a long and disturbing past. He poisoned prostitutes with whiskey laced with cyanide, killing one, and days later stabbed another woman to death. He was declared insane and sent to St. Elizabeth's Hospital, the same hospital near where the first victim had been found. After his release, he murdered again and was later convicted of more assaults. Also, when police searched his home, they found court papers in which a judge had used the word tantamount, the same unusual word from the killer's note. Co-workers also said Askins liked to use that word often. But even with all that, no physical evidence linked
I think that's evidence. Who says
him
tantamount?
to the Freeway Phantom murders. Askins denied everything, saying he could never do such things, and he spent the rest of his life in prison for other crimes and died there in 2010. More than
Damn.
50 years later, the Freeway Phantom case is still unsolved.
So we're never gonna know who the Freeway Phantom was.
A $150,000 reward still stands,
150K, bro. I'm about to do some research.
and the case remains open. The
All right, let's
vending
see the
machine
next one.
killer.
Bro, what? The vending machine killer? Bro, I would kill somebody too if that was my options. What the hell? What would you even? I don't want any of that. What is that? UTI? Isn't that a urinary tract infection?
A man in the city of Fukuyama picked up what looked like a free
Bro, it's literally in China.
drink on top of a vending machine, an Vitamin C energy beverage, and took a few sips. A month later, he was dead. The drink
What? I told y'all should not be drinking
had
that.
been poisoned with paraquat dichloride, a weed killer so strong that even a tiny amount can destroy a person's lungs, kidneys, and other organs within days. That one bottle began one of Japan's most frightening unsolved cases, the
Japan.
paraquat murders. At the time, paraquat was easy for anyone to buy, as people only had to say they needed it for their crops. As the months passed, more people fell ill after drinking from bottles found near vending machines. In total, 13
Why are you drinking a bottle that you find next to a vending machine? Like if I went up to a vending machine and I saw a pretty full like Pepsi and I really wanted a Pepsi, I wouldn't be like, oh, there's a Pepsi right here, so I don't need to buy one. No, I would still buy my own Pepsi. I'm not touching somebody else's drink. That's
people
disgusting.
died, and 35 others became seriously ill. The investigation was extremely difficult. There were no fingerprints, no witnesses, and no security camera footage showing who did it. Japan had more than 5 million vending machines at the time, and it was impossible to keep an eye on all of them. The victims had nothing in common either. They were men and women, old and young, from different areas. There was no ransom note, no letter, no clue, and no explanation. It seemed like the killer murdered simply for the sake of killing. The authorities started a nationwide safety campaign. For example, in Tokyo, people received leaflets warning them about what was happening. The police never found a strong lead. The Doodler. In San Francisco,
Okay, I
a
gotta see
young
what this
man known
is.
only as the Doodler hunted gay bars and nightclubs across the city. He would sit at a table sketching portraits of men on napkins or scraps of paper, using the drawings to start conversations. Not long after, those same men would be found dead, stabbed multiple times, and left near the edge of the Pacific Ocean.
So this guy would go to like a nightclub or a bar and meet people, and he would draw them, and he'd be like, hey, I drew you. And he'd try to like be smooth, and then he'd kill him.
After multiple killings, investigators began to realize that the murderer was targeting gay men, and that the fear of police discrimination might be why the community was silent. Police eventually had a suspect, a young black man between 19 and 25 years old, tall and thin, who matched the descriptions of 3 men who had survived being attacked. Each of them had met the suspect in gay bars, and each said he had drawn their portraits before stabbing them. It looked like the case could finally be solved until all 3 survivors refused to testify in court. The
Why?
reason was that in the 1970s, being openly gay in San Francisco could destroy a person's career, reputation, or safety.
Wow. So these people who were like gay, I guess, they were too scared to like tell the judge what was wrong because they didn't want people to know they were gay.
One
Bro.
survivor was a well-known entertainer, and another was a foreign diplomat, and speaking out meant being publicly outed. Without witnesses willing to testify, prosecutors had no case. The suspect, believed to be the Doodler, was never charged, and his name was never made public. Then the killing stopped out of nowhere. Some believe the Doodler moved away. Others think he was arrested for another crime,
So he literally got away
or
with
simply
it.
stopped killing as he grew older. In recent years, modern DNA testing has given the case new life, and the San Francisco Police Department reopened the investigation, offering a $100,000 reward and releasing an updated sketch showing what the Doodler might look like today.
That's the
likely in his late
doodler. More like the diddler.